6:02 in the Rose City. Time for Dirt and Sprague on Portland's Sports Leader 1080 The Van.
Hump Day!
Happy Hump Day, everybody.
What is happening?
Been a rough start to a day.
Hey, we made it on time today.
Well, I took 99.
Did you today? You took 99?
Dude, I think when it rains like this, when we get these torrential atmospheric river rains, I'm just taking the road less traveled.
That's not a bad idea. How long does it take you to get in on 99?
I think it's like a 6-minute difference,
Oh, okay,
but
it's not bad.
there was no cars. There was
Nobody
out there. So I was just humming along at 65 miles an hour.
I have reached a level of depression with this weather. I don't think it stopped raining in like 36 hours. I don't know if there's been a gap. I looked outside. I took the dog for a walk when I got home yesterday. Just miserable.
That was a really hard dog walk I had.
Just miserable. Yeah. And then I got home and I'm like, all right, I got to do some stuff. I'm going to keep an eye outside. Let's see if there's a break. And then I'll take him out again. Wait for the break. Wait for the break.
No
wait
break.
for the break. Just no break.
None at all.
No stoppage whatsoever.
I went to a coffee shop this morning. I had ran out of milk and I didn't know it.
Uh-oh.
All the almond milk was gone.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, I need my caffeine.
I need my hit, need my kick.
So I know there's a coffee shop kind of by 205. So I race over there and I'm kind of pressing my luck here with the time. I'm looking at it. It's like 5:12 and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, it's a bold move to get coffee on your way in. I don't have the balls to do that.
4 cars. I'm the 5th car. There's 2 cars in each line. I just pick a line. There were 2 gals in there. One of them's doing inventory check, and I'm just watching the other one meander about making a drink all slowly, and a car starts creeping up behind me, and I'm like, no, I'm not getting trapped in here. So I hit reverse, and I peeled out of there.
No coffee for you this morning.
I got to drink a cold, energy drink, and just what a start to the day.
They're just having a nice conversation in there as they're making everybody's coffee. How's your day going?
I'm screaming in my car. Like, if you looked in my window, you would have saw me, and I'm like, help her out, make a coffee.
What are you doing?
You're counting cups.
What do we pay you for?
There's 5 people in line.
Come on, we got places to be. When you're leaving for work that early, you're not usually on like a leisurely start to your day.
No.
I feel like if you're making coffee for somebody after 9:45, 9:30, you can be a little more leisurely. Like if that's your morning commute,
Yes.
it's like, you're kind of going at your own pace.
Right.
Maybe you're not even going to work. It's okay. If you're going to work at 5 o'clock in the morning, you got places to be.
Swigard, I have a very proud dad moment to share with you. Dirt, I'll share these moments with you in a couple months. You can't hear this.
Okay, I'll plug my ears.
No, I had a
earmuffs.
You guys would both enjoy this. So I'm washing dishes. I'm ISTing my ass off last night. Okay, as you could see, my Milwaukee Bucks are in the semis.
That was impressive.
You damn right it was.
And my parlay was cooked 1 game in.
I told you, take the favorites. And I'm washing dishes and I'm cup checking. And my daughter comes in and she just sits down and she hates that I take the TV from her because she wants to watch Teen Titans. And I'm like, no, I got to watch this. And I turn it on and she's watching. And I turn my back to start loading the dishwasher. And all of a sudden, I hear my daughter go, what happened? And I go, what do you mean? And I look up on the screen and she goes, he's hurt. And it's there's a player on the court. And I'm like, well, he probably got hurt. I turn my back again. They had shown the replay of the play. And she goes, oh, get out of here. And I said, what? And she goes, he wasn't touched. And I go, well, and she goes, why is he on the court acting like he got shot? And I went, well, that's usually what he does. And she goes, I can't stand this guy. Why would you fake this? And I said, that's who he is. And she goes, well, I don't like him. And I'm not rooting for him anymore. And I look up, Yusuf Nurkic.
Well done. Well done.
Say, welcome to the Nurkic experience. And she goes, is that his name, Nurkic? And I go, yeah. And she goes, I don't like Nurkic.
No.
I said, I'm so proud of you right now.
Thank God we traded that guy.
Nothing to like about
Just a
Nurkic.
flopping fish, not doing anything on the court last night.
Kind of wouldn't mind going to Phoenix today and see if they're done with him.
Yeah, I'd imagine there's that sentiment down there.
That was such an awful
Swag,
performance.
they tanked for the number 3 pick. and the Phoenix Suns watched us and said, we want that front court.
I want that guy. Give me Drew Eubanks.
I want Eubanks and Nurkic. Give us both of those guys. Your team sucked last year.
It's hilarious. It's almost like the opposite Hallmark movie where you walk by, you see the screen, you kind of get roped in. You're like, why am I getting roped in right now? I shouldn't be watching. This is a little weird. That happened to your daughter. She was like, I don't want to watch this. And then you watch for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden, you're enveloped on what's on the screen.
Would you like a review of Christmas on Nottingham?
Oh, yes.
Or Notting Hill, excuse me.
Notting Hill.
No.
Let me guess. Can I take a stab at it?
Yeah.
They fall in love?
They did eventually. Yeah.
Okay.
It took them a while.
Happily. It always takes a while. I mean, you can't have it happen right away.
You got to think about the future,
You gotta
and you're
build
not
up.
sure if they're the future. And then you realize it at the end when it starts snowing. Oh, what a delightful ending.
Usually around the Christmas tree. I always love envisioning those movies, too, that they have to film them in the summer, and that just has to be weird. It's like hot outside. They're all wearing thick coats and fake snow. And
Snow
Christmas
machines
trees.
blowing snow.
It's like the middle of July in Los Angeles. It's 97 degrees. I'm sweating.
I do wonder watching those how they do that. Like
Big soundstage.
no. How
Yeah.
how they put beanies and jackets and sweaters and scarves, and I'm like, if I was filming this, you would see me sweating. I don't know how you're not sweating.
I think if you get you totally enclose the soundstage.
And they
I
just
think
crank the AC.
They just crank the AC.
That's a good call. Underrated.
I'm glad that your daughter's anti-flopping, though. You got to teach him that young. Like, that can't be something that develops later in life.
Was that Bridge? Who was it that when it was a putback and he thought he caught an elbow on his chin and he didn't catch anything?
There was something, and he flopped and flailed to the ground like a little bitch, like he used to do in Portland. And then you watch the replay and literally wasn't touched. And
Nobody laid a finger on him.
my
was
daughter's
it reddish or was
I don't know who it was. I missed
Blazer on X Blazer crime or
Ooh.
something.
I missed the entire play. I just looked over, and then eventually I looked up and I saw him, and I went, "Oh, this is great." She's realizing how awful he is.
This guy sucks.
I've taught her some things in life. She's 11. When she started playing basketball at 6 or 7, like one of my first things was get your ass in there and push people around.
Yeah.
You got to be tough.
Yeah, throw your weight
no
around.
flailing around.
Box out.
People might not like to hear it, but that's why women's soccer is infinitely better than the men's. You don't see them flopping and flailing on the ground, trying to get extra time. Oh, I got me splinter. Shut up and get up. Win a cup. Win a match. I hate men's soccer. Women's soccer's superior, and it's not close.
You're not wrong there. I would imagine women's basketball is the same. There's not quite as much flopping going on. Maybe it's because they don't have as many Europeans in the WNBA.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I'm drawing conclusions there, and I feel like that's a fair assessment.
My wife can identify toughness with people. It's a skill that she has, and she came back from Dirt's baby shower over the weekend, and she was talking about how the moms really liked me a little more than maybe Dirt, and how that's maybe a little uncomfortable for Dirt. And no, just talked about the gifts that she got and like what it was like. I was like, hey, did you have fun? She's like, yeah, I had a great time. And she goes, there was a gal there. She was really nice, but something told me that she would check me into a wall if she needed to. And I go, was it Dirt's sister-in-law? And she goes, yeah.
Yeah.
And I go, she played lacrosse in college.
She did.
Good read.
She used to hit people with the butt of her stick, man. She'd walk around whacking girls all over the field.
She was a Bash brother.
You get a stick right into your stomach as you're running down the field. The officials don't see it. There's nothing that you can do.
Why are we still flopping? What are we doing there?
I don't know.
I hate when LeBron does. I hate
It
when all the
works.
players
I
do
will
it.
say, some circumstances it works.
It's hilarious.
It's got to quit working.
Yeah,
if
that's
refs just don't blow the whistle, then they won't flop.
I equate that to, and it's hilarious that athletes have not learned that we have 4K cameras. We see everything in slow motion immediately after the play. To me, it's the equivalent of the defensive back who complains about a pass interference call when then you see the replay 3 seconds later and you're like, what are you complaining about? You grabbed him, you hugged him, you pulled him down, you had a hold of the, like, did you really not think in the course of the play that was going to be called? Like, we have the ability to watch the replay immediately after the play. So when you flop, we're going to see it 5 seconds later, and we're going to know like that whether you were faking or not. And I don't understand why athletes have not soaked that into their brain yet of, if I'm going to look like an idiot here. Nobody touched me. I don't need to roll around on the ground pretending to be hurt.
Is there a young athlete? You'd have to go young here because your position is kid's going to be born in February.
Yes.
Is there a young athlete, for whatever reason you don't like, that if Teddy ball game, watches at like 9 and starts complaining out loud, you're kind of proud as the dad? Because that really was a proud dad moment for me.
That's a good question.
Unsolicited, didn't tell her anything about who he was, and she just picked it up on her own, and I was like, oh my God, my heart. I'm so proud of you.
This is a come to Jesus moment.
It really felt like that.
I'm trying to think. That's a hard question to answer. There's not many young guys that I don't like.
Yeah. That is a tough one.
Like, I don't know, maybe Ja Morant, if he becomes a Ja Morant
Oh, you're
fan.
out on Ja Morant.
I'm kind of out on Ja Morant. Yeah, not a very good person.
What if he
beats people up?
What if he turns his life around and then starts like winning again?
We have a different Ja Morant in 10 years.
We had a different Michael Vick.
That is very true.
Would you have thought you rooted or were okay with Mike Vick as an Eagle? I wasn't, and then he started playing, and I'm like, well, I mean, he did serve prison time, and
Yeah, he did own up to his mistakes. And
man, he's got a cannon.
He's running really good in that Chip Kelly offense.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good. I'll have to noodle on that one. There's just not a lot of young. Most people that I have hatred for, it's like it's built for years and it's developed into a level of hatred.
That's a tough question I've put you in, but like I think you're gonna have that moment in your life.
I for sure will.
And I can't wait to hear you share this on the air.
There's gonna be like some husky that he ends up turning on,
Yes.
and it's gonna be in the
Yes.
NFL. I'll be like, I love this guy. I'm like, no, you don't.
Oh.
We don't like him.
The tough one right now, Dusty's dealt with this. He told me a story. I know another guy who's dealing it with his son. The tough thing now is I'm not sure kids are gravitating towards old dad's team anymore.
Or they're pushing back. They're going against the grain.
Well, the way that most adult men just take their dad's politics and adopt it as their own, or adopt their sports team as their own, I'm not sensing that anymore.
That's what Dusty did in becoming an Astros fan. He went again. His dad's a Dodger fan, so he went against his dad.
Oh, okay, so that's just lineage.
That's family tradition.
Just
in the
turn
Hara
against our
household.
pops.
No, I didn't turn against. My dad grew up in San Francisco.
Yeah.
That's why I root for the Giants and the Niners. So I've started the lineage, and it needs to continue. There are no debates in this household. I mean, there are no options. There is no choice.
Could he become? So he can't be a Dodger fan. We know
God,
that.
no.
Could he be a Brewers fan?
No.
Would that? No. Okay.
You're raised in one household and one household only. There are no choices here.
This is going to be so much
My
fun.
older,
There is only one Jesus, and we will praise to that Jesus.
my older
It's Oregon
brother
Duck football.
is a Cowboy fan, and so he grew up in my dad's house with a Cowboy fan. I didn't grow up with my dad, and my dad's now a Jets fan, but he's hopped around a couple times, and he used to root in the '90s for the Niners. And he told me that, and I went, well, maybe you should have chosen me as the son.
I would have been the better son.
I would have been the better son
yes,
there.
Niner on Niner.
We
right
would have been
there.
high-fiving instead of booing each other.
And 1994 would have been a little less awkward inside the house.
Well, 95 sucked
Yeah,
because the Cowboys won it the next year.
They did.
They took Deion Sanders and said, watch
92,
this.
93, 95.
And then what?
And
then Swag
Nada.
left.
then he left.
Turn the lights off.
Well, they have like 2 playoff wins since then.
That sounds about right.
Well, we got a good show today.
We do. We got a lot to get to.
We have a first in show history. I don't know if you gents are aware of this because it was brought to my attention at about 9:00 last night. I don't even know if the show can handle it. For the first time ever in show history, we've got NFL Zigger Zag and Quake Takes.
Ooh, double up.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous that this building's going to come crashing down. That's a lot of content.
Let's hope my Quake Take does not fall in Zig or Zag, because then it kills the segment.
It would be hilarious if it did, because we don't plan that far into the show.
No, we don't. I'm holstering my Quake Take for later. Don't use my Quake Take. I got a Quake Take today.
We can't have the tsunami and the big one converge at the same time.
Usually the big one is creating the tsunami. So how is this going to go?
I don't know.
This is a good one because golf is probably a better sport to look at. He said, somebody texted him, we know Little Smudge is going to be raised to golf. Imagine him being a Patrick Reed fan. Like golf is an easier one for me to pinpoint. There are guys in golf that I do not like.
For the sake of the mothers, could we just refer to him as Teddy Ball Game from here on out?
My wife didn't like that one either.
Well, I'm sorry. She doesn't get a say in this.
That's right. It's not her kid.
You're not delivering
This
that
is our
child.
show.
We're pregnant, okay? We are pregnant. It is 2023.
The funny thing's going to be that your kid thinks golf is boring as hell and wants nothing to do with it, and you're just like, damn it.
That's why you got to put a club in their hands. The second they can hold it, you give them a golf club. Train them young.
What are you going to do if your kid's like a theater kid?
I'm going to be the dad in Wedding Crashers.
Like he has no interest in t-ball and soccer.
Would it kill you to play team sports? Would it kill you to pick up a football?
Hey, I went through that. That's rough.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
We tried one team sport. just
didn't like it.
I could just see him at practice. It just did not compute. Waiting in line, waiting your turn.
What's his sport?
Lacrosse. He tried lacrosse.
No. What's his current sport?
Snowboarding.
He's a solo guy. He likes to do things on his own.
I mean, I can handle that.
He got a high school varsity letter in snowboarding.
That's pretty badass.
It has to be something like we could, like a shared common activity. Like even I'm not the biggest mountain man, but if my son becomes a mountain man, I'll strap those skis or snowboard on. Let's go up to the mountain. Dude.
I hope it's tap dancing. Teddy ball game, tap dancing.
Teddy the tap dancer.
The WB.
Does have a nice ring to it.
My dad is next. Let's start here. The taboo, naughty topic in sports right now. We're not supposed to talk about this. We will. Next on The Fan.
Oregon Ducks football is on The Fan.
Swings it out to Bucky. day and all through the night.
This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
Well, if you ever want to sneak peek behind the scenes of sports radio, something they always tell you behind the scenes is, gotta play the hits.
Gotta play the hits.
Gotta talk football. It's football season, Sprague. Gotta talk football. We got a football and football. I want to talk about two baseball topics today.
Look at you.
I read a piece from old Buster Olney that I couldn't have agreed with more on ESPN.com.
Okay.
Or The Athletic. I can't remember where he is, but
I believe he's still at ESPN.
Is he? Okay.
I think.
Buster's at ESPN.
well, he wrote a really good piece wherever the hell I read it yesterday, and I think he's right. Baseball is having maybe its biggest moment, and they are not able to capitalize on it because everything has to be a secret. Swipe right, swipe left on this team and that team, but don't you dare tell anybody
Come on, Shohei.
that we met. Shohei Ohtani is handling free agency in a way that might be very nice for him, but Buster Olney's point is baseball should be capitalizing on this because it's maybe the biggest free agent of all time.
Yeah.
And nobody can talk about anything because everything is secrecy, and if you dare mention it, you either get fired or your team is out of the running. This happened to Dave Roberts. He mentioned that they did sit down with him and have a meeting. And now people are openly saying, are they going to fire Dave Roberts for this?
Oh.
And I would say, no, you should fire him because they haven't won a World Series in a real season since 1988.
Because he overmanages the bullpen in the playoffs.
Yes, is what my answer would be. And I also equally find fascinating the secrecy of Ohtani free agency. The Seattle Mariners are just openly telling their fans, we're cheap asses. Deal with it. And I'm not kidding when I say this. Mariner fan,
Unless they're offering Shohei and nobody knows about it.
Sure. Maybe they're the Ohtani suitor.
hey, if they come out of left field on this, we'll obviously talk about that and be very fair. But right now, they have openly said we're dealing with the circumstances we've been
They're
dealt.
dumping salary fast.
And I'm legitimately asking every John Sukanik that exists, you're not loyal like this to any other thing in your life
No.
except maybe your spouse, and your spouse doesn't make you feel miserable like this.
No.
Why are you putting up with this?
This is like your spouse
Why?
cheating on you every other year and you saying, well, spring training's around the corner, so we'll sign up again for another year. of
Well,
this."
we have J-Rod and we have Castillo, and you're doing nothing about it. It is almost like a glorified Oakland A's situation is what it feels like in Seattle right now.
Yeah, I get the Ohtani free agency thing. It is a major missed opportunity for baseball. There was an article that came out. I can't remember who wrote it, but basically said the baseball needs to do something to spice up the winter meetings. I don't like putting this all on Ohtani because everybody's going to have a different stance on how they want their free agency to go.
And he's operated like that his entire
This is what he
career.
was when he came over.
This is who he is.
Yeah.
This is how he operates. This is not a surprise to anybody.
He's not going to do the decision. That's not going to be his thing, right? He's not going to be public with this. He'll eventually sign and it'll be a big deal. But there are things that baseball can change to speed up the process because what you have going on right now is we're in the offseason. Guys can be traded. Guys can be signed. But nobody gets signed until we get the big fish out of the pond.
He's the big fish.
And he's the big fish. And so having a sped up clock on this to get a little more action, to get a little more conversation, I think would be something that would behoove baseball to do because in every other offseason, there are major headlines that happen for the sport. And we talk about them. The NFL is the king of this. They dominate the calendar 12 months out of the year. Your sport, people would argue the offseason's more interesting than the in-season. That's been one of the problems in the NBA.
Not anymore with the IST.
Not anymore with the cup check. That's been an issue, right? Where's this guy going to go? Who's going to demand a trade? Where's Dame going to go? Where's this guy going to go? Like, that dominates the offseason for the NBA throughout the course of the summer until football starts and then we get distracted again. Baseball doesn't really have that. And Ohtani being traded, signing somewhere would be a massive headline. It's just kind of flying under the radar. The Mariner thing is a whole different conversation. I don't understand why there is not more pushback from that fan base. Like, I just don't get it. I don't know. Like, they expect something to change every year. Do they just appreciate being depressed? Like, I don't understand it. I got there this year with the Blazers. Watching Lillard last night reminded me again, I've not watched a lot of Bucks basketball this year. And I was watching and I thought, hey, remember when we refused to even consider trading the number 3 pick for anything to help that guy win? Remember that? Remember that fun offseason? Good times. Scoot looks awesome so far. I'm glad we made that decision. I'm not out on him, so take a deep breath, everybody. But we didn't even consider it. We didn't even think. We didn't even, contemplate. Maybe. It's the better right. Maybe? No? Okay, just checking. That's still the stance that we had. I'm on a mental and emotional break from that organization. I just am. I don't care what happens in their games. I'm not following them day in and day out. It's been the best thing that I have ever done for my mentals. And Mariner fan needs to do the same thing.
I'm going to somehow craft a poll question out of the end of that statement. Blazer fan, do you need to
mind your mentals and your chickens?
Or Mariner fan, do you need to pull a dirt with the Blazers and just stay away for your mentals? Yes or no?
Like I log on to Twitter and it's like Scoot and Shaden are the new Stephen Clay, and it's like, why are you doing this? Why there are
name names,
jokingly Blazer fans.
Names.
There are jokingly Blazer fans tweeting that, and I don't know why you do this to yourself.
The best shooting backcourt, and one of the players on our team can't shoot at all.
Can't shoot.
I'm legitimately asking. I've seen Mariner fan outrage. I'm not suggesting Mariner fans like, I love this. Obviously they're pissed. I was thinking about this because you left your fandom controversially on the show.
Yes.
But I kind of like that people are willing to do that. I don't care that somebody gets made fun of for it. What are you loyal to outside of family stuff? What are you loyal to company-wise are you loyal when you shop for groceries? Are you loyal when you get streaming or cable?
Some people are loyal to particular. I think the one
cars.
I think there's,
you always have to have a Ford or a Chevy or something.
There's still some brand loyalty there that I run into. Not all the places, but some places. Yeah, I'm like I think truck owners too. Maybe even truck owners more than car owners. Like trucks is like I'm a Ford guy. I'm a Chevy guy. I'm a Ram guy. Whatever.
I just don't get it. I don't know. A team right now, unless they sign Ohtani or make this Soto trade, which is the scuttlebutt.
That would be the ultimate Mariners move.
Sure. And if they do it, I will be fair and say thank you for making a move.
For doing something.
They are one of the least accomplished franchises to exist.
They are in baseball. They're the only team that's never been to a World Series.
No. In pro sports.
Major North American.
In American sports, they are one of the least accomplished franchises to ever exist.
Well, they have four or five postseason appearances in 50 years.
That is unbelievably bad. And they seemingly never win playoff things.
I mean, they started in 76, 77. They didn't get to the playoffs for the first time till 95.
They went 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 5 postseason appearances.
I just
since 1977.
When they openly are just saying we're dealing with the hand we've been dealt, I just what's your breaking? Are you just afraid that people are going to make fun of you for abandoning a team? Like,
and that's where I don't even think you have to abandon.
What is it?
It's to me the biggest frustration as a fan. Like I will always love the Blazers. I'm not going to root for another NBA team. I'm born and raised in Portland. I've rooted for that team my entire life. The ones that bother me are the ones just continue to spend their money and go to games and throw money into Jody Allen's pockets to support what shouldn't be supported. That's the breaking. Like, I'm not saying Mariner fan, you got to go become Astros fans or Cardinals fans and you can't root for your childhood team.
Be a Rob Lowe, wear a baseball hat, just MLB logo.
Dude, stop going to games, man. Like, speak with your wallet at some point. It's the only power you have.
Especially in Seattle now, you have the Kraken, you have Seahawks, you have now a Big Ten, about to be a Big Ten university with all sorts of sports.
Yep.
At some point, the Sonics will be back there. Like, you can pick and choose and say, you need to be better.
Yeah, this is not good enough. They went to the playoffs 2 years ago, and they did it by incredible luck. Their record in one-run games was incredibly lucky. There's only one way to look at that. And they went into that offseason and thought, we could do that again.
Yeah, we're fine.
We'll do that
We
again.
don't really need to add a bat.
Why would we do that? Teoscar Hernandez, and you make a little marginal move here or there around the fringe. And then what happens the next year? Because balls bounce the other way in one-run games, all of a sudden you're not going to the playoffs. Instead of looking at it and saying, man, the chances of repeating that record in one-loss games is minimal to zero. Maybe we should drastically improve the roster. Our fans are invested. Maybe we should go all in right now. You know, one organization that I give a lot of credit, it hasn't panned out for them yet, who's done this is San Diego. Like, San Diego used to be this. They were the organization that had never done anything. They didn't have big-name players. Like, when the Giants or the Dodgers would go to San Diego, it was home games for those teams. That's how sad that franchise was. And their ownership was like, dude, we got to do something. We're the only show in town now. The Chargers left. Let's invest. Let's go over. Let's bring players to this city and to this organization that fans are going to want to pay to come see. And they did it. And granted, it has not worked into a World Series, but they made it to an NLCS 2 years ago. This last year was a bit of a head scratcher, but at least they're investing in their organization and they're giving fans something to watch day in and day out.
Two stories that I think are really fascinating: Ohtani free agency and the Mariners just punting on caring at all are just two stories I had to talk about today.
The bigger one for me in baseball, if we're going to criticize somebody, it's not Ohtani for being secret, although it would be nice if he was more public. It's Mike Trout and the Angels not breaking up. That needs to happen. That organization's going nowhere.
Well, they might be. I don't know.
They're likely going to lose Ohtani. Their GM said, well, 100%, we're not trading Trout. Like that, it's killing baseball to have him in a market that doesn't care about baseball. And
doesn't he have to kind of do the NBA player thing? Isn't this some on him?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. It's on him. Like he's got to come out and be like, enough is enough, man. I have committed my whole career to your organization. I want to go win now.
It's a hot take to say maybe Mike Trout doesn't care about winning.
I don't really have a retort to
that. I mean, how many years do you got to lose before you just go, do you want to win? I mean, if you don't, that's cool. Make your money. Be a great baseball player. But
getting him in a better market where he's more visible. And
Bryce Young was like, hey, I'm in Washington. I know they won the World Series after that, but I'm going to go to Philadelphia. I want to be in Philly. Like, I want to get into that, anyways, there's some baseball stuff for you during football season.
I got fired up. I'm fired up to talk baseball.
We got NFL Zig or Zag, but coming up next, some fun with audio and a very awkward story that exists next on The Fan.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by Stanford's The Classic American Steakhouse has exactly what you've been craving. Visit them in Clackamas, Tanasbourne, or online at stanfords.com. First on The Fan, Ducks quarterback Bo Nix taking the scenic route to New York for this weekend's Heisman Trophy ceremony. Tuesday night, he stopped in Southern California to pick up the Campbell Award, commonly referred to as the academic Heisman. He becomes the second Duck to win it after Justin Herbert. Nix also named the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year on Tuesday. He was one of 9 Ducks named to the Pac-12's all-conference teams. As the first-team QB, wide receiver Troy Franklin, tight end Terrence Ferguson, center Jackson Powers Johnson, and defensive tackle Brandon Dorless with cornerback Kyrie Jackson, all first-teamers as well. For Oregon State, Beavers placed 10 players on the all-conference teams, including running back Damian Martinez, offensive lineman Talise Fuaga, Jake Levengood, linebacker Easton Mascarenas-Arnold making the first team. The NBA's in-season tournament quarterfinals finished up Tuesday, sending the Bucks to face the Pacers in semifinal number 1 after Milwaukee hit 23 threes, shooting over 60% from beyond the arc to blow out the Knicks 146-122. The Lakers will face the Pelicans Thursday night thanks to Austin Reeves' 3 in the final minute to put away the Suns 106-103. Rest of the NBA resumes the regular season tonight, including the Trailblazers in San Francisco to face the Warriors 7 o'clock on Root Sports Northwest. Portland's won 3 of their last 5, but they are 12.5-point underdogs. More sports scores and stories, 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on pro and college football from across the country at Spirit Mountain Casino. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Do it every morning. Dirt and Sprague. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Honey, can you swing by the post office and grab some stamps?
Done.
And drop off these packages?
Sure thing, honey.
Oh, and get the tracking info.
Got it.
But you haven't moved.
I know. How great is that?
This holiday season, the Postal Service is closer than ever with convenient ship-from-home services like label printing, free package pickup, and delivery notifications. You can send more holiday joy from the comfort of home. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America. Ship from home at USPS.com/holidayjoy.
Discover, this is Daniela.
Hi, it's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great, but with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Do you like asparagus and mushroom sorbet? I've got leftovers.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, and increase in in organic search visibility and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's and AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world. Turning to the best in the business for websites, go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
Isaac Ropp for Langdon Farms. One thing we know, the rain is coming, so you're going to want to play golf at a course committed to quality drainage. No golf course in our area is better in the fall and winter than Langdon Farms. Top-notch conditions at Langdon Farms, just off I-5 in Wilsonville.
P-Factor per trail.
I didn't see it coming. Life can be so unpredictable. After losing my dad, it made
.1080 The Fan.
All right, we're getting to NFL Zig or Zag on time. I got some really good ones. But we got two things to hit on. Let's start with the first one. I won't take long on this, but I had to pull it for dirt's sake. I was watching some hockey dealings last night.
Oh, look at you watching some hockey. The Hughes brothers.
That was a great game.
I didn't watch
all the way through.
No, I didn't watch that. Brothers, we're so talented. We're playing at the same time.
Can I address something really quick, too? I need to clear my name here. There's a comment on the YouTube feed that said, I could have absolutely sworn that knucklehead was one of the guys jumping up and down saying we need to blow up and start a rebuild, and you could not be further from the truth. I was adamant that I wanted them to trade the pick the entire time.
The tape was clearly... Yes.
I want to build around Damian Lillard. Yeah. That was the whole reason I was pro-tanking the last 2 years.
They are confusing you with, I don't know, maybe
somebody
Danny
else.
Or maybe somebody else. They are confusing you with somebody else.
I just needed to clear my name there.
You were all in on the win with Dame thing. This happened last night in a post game. Actually, not last night, 2 nights ago, excuse me. And this is the Tampa Bay Lightning goalie, Vasilevsky?
Andre Vasilevsky.
I knew that name. If you would have said it, I would have been able to tell you goalie for the Lightning.
That second pronunciation was awesome. That was great.
Nikolai Vitaskili. Remember the Denver Nuggets kid?
I do, yeah.
He was interviewed in the postgame in the locker room, and there's always a danger in doing that, and I want you to listen to this one, Dirt.
What's gone through your mind in the last 48 hours from the end of the game on Saturday to the start of this one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it wasn't great feeling last game, but what was the question? So just yeah, I mean, I was just.
You used to do the drops page. You used to do the drops page for primetime, and one of your things that you love to do that you would just bring onto our show was playing their farts.
I love farts.
Don't
pull that. Please don't pull that.
I want to say that fart sound I think it's described on their drops page as is it an air biscuit or a wet biscuit?
Air biscuit's like high and tight, like
What's
that's kind of
I like a plopping like
yeah, it's kind of a
vibrate.
wet and fat fart is the way I would describe it. If it had a look to it, a substance to it, it's kind of wet and fat, a little heavy. There's a little oomph behind that fart. I did not see that. That's awesome.
It was fantastic.
Like I feel like for those guys in those interviews, imagine you just were out there skating and competing for like 2.5 hours. You're exhausted. You're dehydrated. You probably go back into the locker room. It smells horrible. You're trying to eat, cram proteins down, rehydrate. Like just imagine what's going on in your stomach. We need more locker room farts. We need that more often. Be yourself, man. Let it go if you got a fart.
And I wanted to get to this story, and we'll get to NFL Zig or Zag. You remember the Good Morning America hosts who denied that they had feelings for each other. They were kind of flirty on TV. People were like, hey, something going on there?
Yes.
Oh, they were the
both
weekend.
married.
They were the weekend fill-ins.
The weekend fill-ins.
Yes.
Amy Roback and TJ Holmes. You remember that story?
Amy and TJ.
They have come out and said, no, we were not married. We never did anything while we were married. We broke up separately, and then we came together. There's a report out there.
Uh-oh.
Their significant others in grieving the situation together are now together.
Nice.
Their significant others, their spouses they broke up with to be together, linked up in grief and are now a couple.
That's how you turn the tables on somebody. That's a brilliant move right there. It's like the Dos Equis commercial where the two people get dumped and they're both drinking a beer and then they look across like, hey, all right, let's go do it.
Dos Equis?
What did I? Dos Equis?
Dos Equis?
What did I? Dos Equis?
Dos Equis? Vizaskelly and Dos Equis. How
Look,
white of us.
I took 7 years of Spanish. What do you want from me, okay?
You didn't know any of it.
Hola.
¿Cómo estás?
Gracias.
This is what's Christmas like in this situation for the kids?
That's a little awkward right
Hey,
there.
Mommy, how did you meet that daddy?
I mean, on the bright side, at least you only have to go to 2 Christmases still. You don't have the two sides separating and finding out, and then you got to go to do a 4 Christmas kind of thing. It's weird. At least we're keeping it in the family.
I would imagine if I got divorced, I would be pretty mature with my current wife, who would be my ex.
Depends on how you get divorced.
I'm not going to ever be going on vacations with ex-wife and her new lover and my new lover the way Gwyneth Paltrow and her ex-husband are doing.
My lover? You
Yeah.
want to go on vacation with your lover?
No, and I'm wondering if these two news anchors are going to end up doing this, like couples retreats.
This is a brilliant move, though, because I think when you separate, there will eventually come a moment where that was like a hot and heavy relationship. You're working together. They're on camera. There's chemistry, right? Eventually, that's going to fade.
They're both hot.
This is like a Hollywood. We're both attractive. Let's hook up. That's that kind of relationship. And then they're going to see their exes getting together and being genuinely happy, and there will be buyer's remorse.
You think so?
100% buyer's remorse.
I don't know, man. I think both of them upgraded. They're both hot people.
Hot people only last together for so long. You got to have more substance than just being hot.
You think hot people have the least hot sex of all the peoples?
I think there are some that is very true for them.
Ugly people have really hot, steamy, good sex.
Well, you got to know what you're doing when you're ugly. When you're hot, you don't have to know what you're doing.
You don't have to work very hard. You're hot.
Exactly. Everybody wants to sleep with you because you're hot. You don't need to perform well.
Two fishes, huh? Two fishes together. What is that like?
Just laying down, missionary, boring, belly to belly. Nobody wants that.
NFL Zig or Zag next on The Fan.
The Herd with Colin
on 1080 The Fan.
All right, we'll get into college football coming up at the top of the hour. I got some odds and ends at 7:15. But let's not delay. It's NFL Zig or Zag Wednesday, guys. I'm pretty excited for this one.
I'm ready. I zigged all last week.
You did.
I felt like I zigged pretty good. I think I got all my zigs right.
CJ Stroud one looked good.
Yeah, they beat the Broncos. I had that. I had the Seahawks losing. I can't remember what the other ones were, but I know I hit those two.
Let's start in Philadelphia.
Ooh.
David Carr
Damn it.
had this to say yesterday on the Philadelphia Eagles situation.
Put Marcus in there. Win a couple games. Yeah. Maybe you have the number one seed still. You might have it. I'd say he's probably better at playing quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Right now, he would be more productive.
Hey, I ain't say that, Philly.
Later,
I didn't say that,
when
Philly.
you're healthy,
Hey,
we'll
I
see
know
you
what
in the
time it is.
playoffs,
I didn't say that.
Jalen.
He said that. It's
All the way to the Super Bowl. We'll see.
David Carr on NFL Live with our very own Mike Yam saying the Eagles would probably be better sitting Hurts for a couple weeks to let him get healthy because Mariota would be the better quarterback option for them right now. Dirt, zig or zag?
Yeah, this is my Quake take. This is a horrendous take. You know how I feel about Marcus Mariota. He will always be a legend. He will always be the GOAT. But are you stupid or something? Are you, like, missing brain cells? What happened? Did you get hit too many times in
He was
Houston?
sacked the most times in a season.
Do we have a CTE issue going on here? This might be one of the dumbest sports takes I've ever heard. And this is from a guy who's not over the moon on Jalen Hurts. Last week I was called a racist for saying he's not an MVP. That ended up being proven right this weekend, and I think they're going to lose again this weekend in Dallas. But Marcus Mariota is not a better option at quarterback. I don't care if Hurts is banged up. If he's healthy enough to play, everybody's banged up this time of year. Mariota is not going into Dallas and winning this weekend. They go to Seattle the weekend after that. He's not going into Seattle and winning.
He won last year in Seattle.
Who, Mariota did?
With Atlanta.
I mean, come on.
Swag was at the game.
Let's pump the brakes a little bit here, okay? This is a guy that got benched that is not a starting quarterback in any way, shape, or form. Let's not pretend as if he's going to lead them to the number one seed. That's ridiculous. It's a horrible take.
I agree with you. That was a great setup, though, the way you said that. And you were like, wait, what?
I mean, nobody remembers that game. Nobody cares.
On to Miami. Tyreek Hill is 519 yards away from breaking 2,000 receiving yards. Dirt, this is simple. If he gets it, zig or zag, they should make, or I teed this up incredibly wrong. I'm sorry. I read wrong. I'm an idiot. If he gets this, but doesn't win the MVP, zig or zag, they should make the MVP the quarterback award. Just call it what it is.
Ooh, I'm going to zag on that. Well, here's the tough part I'm going with right now. I feel like the other candidate that should be leading in the MVP conversation is not a quarterback. And I don't have a huge issue if they give it to Christian McCaffrey, because I think Christian McCaffrey's having that special of a season.
His teammate is the favorite now.
Which is, hey, I love Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's not the MVP. He's not the best player on his team. He's a stud. He has upgraded their offense. There's no doubt about that. Christian McCaffrey is the best player on that team. He leads the NFL in rushing. He's been a stud catching the ball out of the backfield. He is the only running back in the NFL with 1,000 yards. So that's the caveat. If it ends up going to a quarterback, though, I will zig on that. But I zag if they give it to McCaffrey, because I think the two front runners right now should be McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill, and it's not even really close in my mind.
A first in Zig or Zag history, Dirt has both zigged and zagged.
I zigged and zagged in the same segment.
Let's go to Houston, where Dan Orlovsky said this on NFL Live.
Again, Tank Dell has had a special rookie year, but because of Nico Collins, Brown has been good, Mechie's had some moments, but mostly because how good Stroud is at all those little things. I still believe he's good enough to take who he has and get them into the playoffs.
It was a segment, Dirt, where he basically was saying CJ Stroud is top 5 with poise in pocket category. Zig or zag, Stroud is an overall top 5 quarterback right now in this season. And before you answer this, you need to take into account how many starting quarterbacks are not playing for their teams.
I'm zigging on that right now because you have to be active in order to be considered top 5 right now. Like overall top 5
in the season.
Yeah, he's not top 5 overall, but in the current moment, Trevor Lawrence is out. I think people would probably put Lawrence ahead of him, but still. Joe Burrow's out. Joe Burrow's definitely better than CJ Stroud. Aaron Rodgers, for some people, might be in that conversation. Like, I'm having a hard time thinking of 5 quarterbacks off the top of my head who are currently healthy and currently playing that I would take over CJ Stroud.
Hurts, Lamar, Dak. Would you put Purdy ahead of... I don't know if I'd put Purdy ahead of Stroud.
You know how I feel about Hurts. Hurts, I'm just kind of wishy-washy on.
Okay.
You know,
Mahomes?
Mahomes obviously.
Allen?
I haven't punted on Allen. The turnover thing is a problem, but I haven't totally punted. But it's not easy, so I'm going to zig on that. He is playing unbelievable football, and I do think, I mean, they got a big win over Denver this weekend. Denver had won, 5 in a row coming into that game? They're going to make the playoffs, man. The bottom half of the AFC is a dumpster fire. Like, you're competing with Pittsburgh, who it doesn't matter who they play at quarterback. They're like Iowa offense bad. Cleveland is with Joe Flacco now, Gardner Minshew and the Colts. The Jags now have to go a couple of weeks potentially without Trevor Lawrence. You just beat Denver, so you have the head-to-head win over them. I think they're in the playoffs, man. He's playing better at quarterback than any of those other teams that I just listed, and that'll be enough for him. I zig on that.
How about this one, Dirt? Little trivia question for you. With 4 games, quarterbacks with 4 games, with 3 touchdowns and no picks within their first 13 games in the Super Bowl era, Wade Wilson, Kurt Warner, Nick Foles, Patrick Mahomes,
Nick Foles,
and fill in the blank. Who is the current quarterback?
CJ Stroud.
With 4 games, 3 touchdowns, no picks within their first 13 games in the Super Bowl era.
I would guess CJ Stroud.
You would be incorrect.
Oh, who is it?
Okay, you're not going to take another guess?
No.
Jordan Love.
Jordan Love.
Packers are currently the 7th seed at 6-6. They play New York on a doubleheader of Monday Night Football. Dirt, zig or zag, Jordan Love has shown enough growth to feel like Green Bay has a franchise quarterback.
Oh, boy.
You can't. Yeah, you're going to zig or zag out of that one.
I'm going to zig on that.
Oh.
But I'm not a full believer in Jordan Love yet. But I'm still zigging because this is his first year as a starting quarterback. And if you're out on a guy after 1 year, after you waited 4 years to play him and kind of mismanaged the last couple of years in my mind, that would be managerial malpractice. And so I'm zigging on him that they should give him more time. He has played incredibly good football the last couple of weeks. He's come on really strong. They've won 3 games in a row. As you point out, the NFC playoff picture, they got a good shot at making it. I need more than a 4-game stretch, though. Like, we see quarterbacks do this all the time. Guys will look good, play good in a moment. Jake Browning just had a great game on Monday night and looked like an NFL quarterback. Can you go do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again, and again, and again, and again? That's what separates you. I still need to see more from Jordan Love. But no matter how he would have played the last 3 weeks, I would have said, you got to give him more than a year. You can't give this guy 1 year and then punt and move on from him. You've waited 4 years to play him. You have to see what you got. They gave him a contract extension before the season started. So I'm zigging that he's shown enough that you're going to continue to give him an opportunity, but I'm not all in on Jordan Love quite yet.
Final one, Andy. Cleveland plays Jacksonville this weekend.
They do.
With a win, they'll be 8-5. Zig or zag, the Browns will be the most dangerous wild card team in the AFC.
Hold on, let me look at the standings. Let me noodling.
I believe they are 6th.
They're currently 6th. Most dangerous team.
If they beat the Jags, by the way, and the Houston Texans win,
I'm zagging on that.
The Texans will be tied with the Jags, and I believe are the tiebreaker in the division.
They can play defense and they can run the football. That usually wins in the playoffs. Joe Flacco's likely going to be their starting quarterback. That does nothing to scare me.
Look at the matchup if they get that 5 seed.
I know.
It would be Houston and Cleveland. I'm just saying, like, there's a possibility that they're not playing a really strong team in that first game.
No doubt about it. I still wonder about Houston with C.J. Stroud, the way he's playing. There's an aspect there of, like, that dude's playing years beyond his experience.
They might win the division.
They might win the division.
It's not over yet.
It's not. That's a fair point. The other team that I will look at, and I know I have flip-flopped on them multiple times this year, the other team that there's still something there because of their quarterback is Buffalo. I think Buffalo has a chance to make the playoffs. They're like a game out of the wild card spot behind Cleveland right now. Cleveland and Indy are 7-5. They're 6-6. There's just an aspect of Josh Allen getting in, running around like a maniac that I don't know if I want a game plan against that. And it might be easier to stop Joe Flacco, so I'm going to zag on that. Their defense is terrifying. They're just missing the most important position on the field, and it's quarterback.
Buffalo loses this week, and I don't know about their playoff chances, man. They're playing at Kansas City, who is pissed off.
They are.
So it's an interesting one to follow. There you go. NFL Zig or Zag every Wednesday at 6:45. One of the better ones I think I've ever done. You zigged and zagged on one of them.
I was all over the place today.
You were.
All over the map.
Hour number 2, Ducks and Beavers get accolades and a bit of a what's in Santa's bag type segment at 7:15. Dirt and Sprague, hour 2 on the Fan.
KWJJ HD2 Portland, 1080 The Fan.
Who is the yacht rock of the NFL?
Are you kidding me?
An Odyssey station. Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, quite a victory tour for Ducks quarterback Bo Nix on his way to New York for this weekend's Heisman Trophy Award ceremony. Tuesday night, he was in Southern California picking up the Campbell Award, commonly referred to as the academic Heisman. Second Duck in 4 seasons to win it after Justin Herbert. Nix was also named the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year Tuesday, joining 8 other teammates on the Pac-12's all-conference teams, making the first team along with Bo. Wide receiver Troy Franklin, tight end Terrence Ferguson, center Jackson Powers-Johnson, defensive tackle Brandon Dorless, and cornerback Kyrie Jackson. For Oregon State, the Beavers placed 10 players on the all-conference teams, including first-teamers, running back Damian Martinez, offensive lineman Talise Fuaga and Jake Levengood, and linebacker Easton Mascarenas-Arnold. The NBA's in-season tournament quarterfinals wrapped up Tuesday night. The Bucks couldn't miss. They hit 23 threes and blow out the Knicks, 146-122. They will take on the Pacers in semifinal number 1 Thursday in Vegas. Semifinal number 2 will have the Lakers facing the Pelicans. Austin Reeves with a 3 in the final minute, putting away the Suns 106-103. NBA resumes the regular season for everyone else tonight. That includes the Trail Blazers at the Chase Center to face the Warriors 7 o'clock on Root Sports Northwest. Portland's won 3 of its last 5, but it will not have Jeremy Grant tonight, still in concussion protocol, as they are 12.5-point underdogs to the Warriors. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on pro and college football from across the country at Spirit Mountain Casino. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
The Odyssey app is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, podcasts, and of course, your home for 1080 The Fan.
Who wants cream? Nobody? Okay, no cream.
This is Dirt and Sprague.
Guys, we've made a great effort so far. Let's just keep it up.
That's right! We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure. We've got too far. There's too much to lose. We've got to keep our composure.
With Andy Dirt Johnson and Brendan Sprague.
A lot of pressure. You gotta rise above it. You gotta harness in the good energy, block out the bad. Harness, energy, block, bad. Feel the flow, happy. Feel it. It's circular.
Dirt and Sprague on 1080.
Hey, guys. Whoa, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
The Fan.
All right, welcome back in. Hour number 2. Dirt and Sprague here on Portland Sports Leader 1080 The Fan. I think I've concluded that it's Isaac that is putting these papers away.
He's moving your papers.
Well, I don't. Why is the Service Patriots podcast paper over there and everything else is over here?
Let me do that one.
What are we doing?
Make sure if you missed the first hour of the show, you know what you can do? You go check the Service Patriots podcast. They are your home comfort solution for all your heating and air conditioning needs. Check out the latest special offers for our listeners at servicepatriots.com/thefan.
The Vancouver Ford text line is 503-864-6326. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them for more information at vancouverford.com. We have a lot to get to here in the second hour. I have been thrift shopping more in my life this year. And yesterday I was alerted to a thrift shopping moment that I wish I would have encountered. That may not sound enticing, but trust me, I will make it enticing.
Look, finding a bargain is never a bad thing.
I think this might be the bargain of bargains. And I think you guys are going to have your minds blown. That's what I think. We've got a lot to get to. I want to start by recognizing our local athletes.
Oh, okay.
The Ducks and the Beavers.
First team and second team all-conference selections?
Yeah, Bo Nix made first team. Damian Martinez made first team. Troy Franklin, Terrence Ferguson, Fuaga, Jackson Powers-Johnson, Levin Good. They made first team. Second team, Bucky Irving. And then you had Jack Veiling, and then Tanner Miller, and then Joshua Gray on the second team. You go to the defensive side, Dorless was first team, as was Mascarenas-Arnold for Oregon State. Kyrie Jackson in the secondary for Oregon. And then Lohe Jr. for Oregon State on the second team, Bassa on the second team, Oladapo on the second team, and Evan Williams on the second team. Silas Bolden made special teams for the second team on that one. So Oregon State pretty well represented in the all-conference selections. And yesterday I also saw Bo Nix receiving the William Campbell Trophy.
Yes.
The William Campbell Trophy recognizes an individual for combined success in athletics, academics, and leadership. He also won Player of the Year in the conference. Kalen DeBoer, Offensive Player of the Year, thank you. And DeBoer won Coach of the Year. So a nice little day yesterday for Oregon Ducks and Oregon State Beavers.
It was a really nice day, man. There was a few guys that I thought had an argument. Chatfield at Oregon State, I thought had an argument maybe to be a first-team guy, second-team guy. I thought that was kind of a glaring weakness. There's always going to be a handful of those every year, but these are tough selections, man. I don't envy the voters on this. Who is it? Coaches that vote on these, or is this media? Do you know the answer to that? Okay, I wasn't sure either.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think
it's got to be media, right?
I see, and I thought it was coaches for
I think
conference
this is
selections.
internal.
You
I
just
think
can't vote
this
for
is
your own
the
guys?
teams.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure on that.
I would respect that a little more because those guys had to face each other, so
Exactly.
they would know.
They played each other. I know Husky fans were livid that Bo was first team and won Offensive Player of the Year, and Penix got screwed and hosed out of that award. Look,
Penix is going to be in New York.
He's going to the college football playoff. Like, you got enough going for you, and it's not outlandish to say that Bo Nix had a better regular season than Michael Penix. I know he lost the head-to-head matchup twice, and he did not play well at all in the second game, and we talked about that on Monday. But when you look at a body of work throughout the course of a season, his numbers were better across the board. He was better against basically every opponent that they shared, a common opponent. So he had an unbelievable season. He's the first Offensive Player of the Year for Oregon since Marcus Mariota. They have not had one since 2014. So it's been a long time since a Duck has brought home that award. And it was cool to see the guys get recognized for their good seasons.
I believe Oregon and Oregon State led the conference, right? In first and second team guys.
That's about right. I think Oregon was 10 and Oregon State was 8.
And I think I
think that was the number.
I'll count them here in just a second, but I think if you also counted the honorable mention, I want to say Oregon State was pretty high. If not leading, they were right there with everybody else with honorable mention counting. But first and second team, I mean, it speaks to the coaching, speaks to the season. Oregon had a really good year. I know it didn't end well. And Oregon State, kind of the same thing. They had a good year, had a couple games they probably shouldn't have lost.
Yeah, could have gone either way.
Absolutely. Overall, just a good reflection, I think, of the in-state schools and how talented and special these couple seasons have been for both Dan Lanning, and I know he has departed, but Jonathan Smith, what he had established in Corvallis.
The final all Pac-12 teams, man. It's just weird. Every final is a weird final. Every time I think about we're not getting one of these again, there's a slight moment of sadness in my heart.
It is the last one. I didn't think about that either.
Last time. Bo Nix will be the last Offensive Player of the Year.
God, I'm so
Latu
numb
will
to
be the
this.
last Defensive Player of the Year. Like, it's dead. It's over.
Connerly got honorable mention. I was surprised he didn't make it.
Josh Connerly?
Yeah.
He had moments this year. I mean,
he had some penalty problems.
He got beat a couple. I mean, he's a young kid. He's only a true sophomore. So
but he's probably done after next year, right? Isn't he probably one of those
if
NFL
he has
guys?
a big year, he will go. Like, he has an NFL body. That kid is absolutely massive, and he was the number one tackle coming out. So he is developing the way you want to develop. But there's so many good offensive. Washington's offensive line was elite all year. Oregon State's offensive line was elite all year. Yeah. Oregon's offensive line was good. Like, it's just hard. Like, this is the tough part when people criticize these decisions. And I see that often. It's like, well, who would you remove? Like, I saw the Chatfield one from Oregon State fan, and that's a valid, like, dude was a stud, man, especially late in the year. Who are you taking out? Who are you replacing? That's a difficult part that nobody ever answers, because I looked up and down those, and I don't know the details and numbers of every single player, but I know the names, and there wasn't a guy that made first or second team that you're like, how did that guy make? Really? There wasn't any of those. These are voted on by the coaches.
Are we sending you to New York?
No, I wish. That would be pretty cool.
You're our duck guy.
I am the duck guy.
You're the duck. You're the quacker.
Dirt the duck. Big dirt now. I'm officially duck. Big dirt here.
Andy the Mallard. Andy Mallard here from New York. We could change your name if we send you.
We could.
And we call one of these big wig sponsors and be like, hey, we got to send Dirt to New York to cover a guy who's not going to win the Heisman Trophy, because Jade Daniels, I think Vegas is telling us Jade Daniels wrapped that up.
Overwhelming favorite.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the other part is, like, to the Husky Penix Player of the Year stuff, sure. I think you can make an argument Roma Dunze could have won Player of the Year, maybe even over Penix. Penix just threw the ball up, and Rome was like, I'm always catching this.
Yeah.
But Bo was the favorite going into the conference title game. Penix was a distant third, and Daniels was barely behind Bo. The odds came out after that game, and it was like Daniels, and then depending on the book, it was Penix or Bo, but both were so far behind that it's like there's not really a conversation to be had. It's, if you're going to cover that thing for Penix or Bo Nix, like you're going to cover somebody not going to win the award.
You're just going to see the Heisman ceremony, and it's something that Washington has never had a Heisman winner, so this could have been their first. I would be shocked if anybody other than Jaden Daniels won it. I'll maintain.
I would be too at this point because of what the odds are saying.
Yes. And well, hey, look, Vegas doesn't always know, right? Look at the Pac-12 championship game. They made Oregon a 9.5-point favorite, and that didn't work out very well in their favor. So maybe the odds are just trying to get a little bit of action on other people, and I don't know what the case is
Minus
there.
1,400.
It's an overwhelming, right? An overwhelming number. But it's just another salt in the wound from Friday night. Because I will maintain, I think if Oregon wins that game and Bo plays well in that game, he wins the Heisman. I think they still value, whether you agree with it or not.
I do agree with that.
I'm saying the general listener, like whether they agree or not, I think the voters, they want to reward postseason play and conference championships and winning. Like that's still a major part of their voting. Not that Bo didn't have great numbers, but they were not Jaden Daniels' numbers. And I think a win on Friday would have been enough to probably seal the award for him.
Coming up next, bargain shopping paying off, and a lot of intel saying this is leaning a certain way. So that's next. Dirt and Sprague on the Fan.
It's the Vancouver Ford This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, we have a lot to get into today. I want to start. I've been this year. I'm tired of spending a lot of money for T-shirts and things that aren't really that important. And so my fight back against the capitalistic society we have created here, where everybody's poor and everything's expensive, is I go thrift store shopping. I actually enjoy it now. I used to hate it. My mom would drag me into one over in Northeast Portland, and it always smelled like used socks. And
it does always smell funky. There is a funk. You cannot get rid of the funky smell when you walk into the store.
No, but you get the clothes, you take them, you wash them, smell's gone. So I've dabbled into thrift store shopping. It's something that my wife and I like to do just from time to time. Did you see the thing that somebody found at a local Goodwill in Corvallis, Oregon?
I did see that. Yes, I did.
Somebody found an Oregon State. So I think you'd enjoy this. I sometimes have to say Swag's name because Swag has 9 jobs.
Yes, he's not plugged in on social media all day like we are.
And on any given moment, I don't know if he's working on a different job or part of the show.
Yeah.
And Swag, I don't know if you saw this yesterday. Some Beaver fan went to the Goodwill in Corvallis, which I had frequented a couple times. I think they built that right before I left. And they found an Oregon State pullover, a half zip.
It's a good looking one. Had the Benny logo on it.
Had the Benny logo.
Old school.
Old school Benny.
Except it was a newer pullover, and this jumped out to the person. He said, man, I got to get this. He grabbed it, shot a photo of it. The tag said Jonathan Smith. They found that they put Jonathan Smith's Oregon State pullover.
I think he did it. I would imagine he did it.
No, I would think.
No, I think the school had it and was like, what to do with this? Let's just throw it to the Goodwill. And somebody bought it.
Yeah, they took some things out of the house. Family packed some things up.
I'm going to push back. I'll defend him here. I don't need to defend him, but I will. I don't think he hates Oregon State.
No, he doesn't.
I don't think he was like, get all rid of my Beaver gear.
You're not wearing Beaver gear in East Lansing. You get rid of the gear when you move on. It's a strange thing, but it happens in every profession.
So you're under the assumption his wife just grabbed some Oregon State stuff, put it in a bag, and did a dump at Goodwill before moving to East Lansing.
I mean, he probably had a closet full of Beaver gear and was like, I'm getting new team gear. I can't wear this.
You
can't show up to practice in an Oregon State. I guarantee you, Mario, think about how many Oregon things he had, right? He had to get rid of all that.
Sure. I have a hard time envisioning those people bagging and dropping at Goodwills, but I guess everybody does.
I mean, it probably wasn't him because he got on a private jet and flew to East Lansing immediately.
Yeah, the family back.
It's a wife move, packing up the house, cleaning things up.
She's like, I don't want to lug all this stuff.
No.
Unless you're putting it in storage somewhere, but
imagine snagging a duck pullover and it says Willie Taggart on the tag. I'm not buying this now.
Yeah, that's one I think you put it back on the shelf. I don't want that name on my tag.
Dirt, the intel is loud right now. It's very, very loud. We gave you Bovada odds on yesterday's program.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I would believe what Bovada is saying right now, but the noise is pretty loud that Oregon and Dylan Gabriel have a partnership looming here.
He's visiting this weekend.
A lot of people kind of hinting at what you've said. He went to the Mariota High School. He's always thought fondly of Oregon, as many people his age have, because kind of the sexy, popular team for that era of, guys growing up in middle school, high school.
Sure.
Dylan Gabriel at Oregon may end up being the choice for old Dan Lanning and company. Would leave you feeling
really good. I mean, he's one of the best quarterbacks that's on the open market. This isn't even necessarily a Bo Nix situation where he was a reclamation project. This isn't a Michael Penix situation. He threw 30 touchdown passes last year at Oklahoma. They won 10 games. He had a game-winning drive against Texas.
Season's not over.
True, it's not over yet, but that kind of is. Who really cares about bowl games? He had a game-winning drive against Texas in one of the best games of the season. He's a dynamic runner. He's not the most elite thrower of the football downfield, but he's perfect for their offense, getting the ball to skill position players in space, using his legs. I think the only concern that you have there is his health. He's had times in his career where he hasn't been able to stay healthy and finish a season, and so I think you would want to make sure you have an insurance policy behind it. One other cool note, if he does end up coming to Oregon, which I've maintained since Monday, I think is going to happen. It's kind of a matter of when, not if.
So you do think that's the guy?
I do. I felt this way all week. That's the intel from people who are plugged into that program. That's what they're saying. They've been in communication for a while, and this is a marriage that they expect to happen. Another cool underrated part of it is, who Oregon opens their season with next year?
I'm blanking.
Hawaii.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
In Hawaii.
In Hawaii,
They
homecoming.
get a 13th game next year. They're going to Hawaii. And so I would imagine, I have to go look through his schedule and his career. I'd imagine at Central Florida, he never played in Hawaii. And obviously, I don't think Oklahoma played Hawaii the last 2 years. So having a chance to go back and play in your home state, like that's kind of a cool thing, a cool selling point, I think, on the recruiting pitch. But this is something where Oregon is going to thrive every single offseason. They are poised to strike again. There's a lot of big-name players out in the portal. They desperately need to replace Bo Nix. They need an established quarterback. You probably need a little help at wide receiver. Need to plug and play some defensive linemen, maybe a safety or two, but they have the means financially to go out and do it. And Gabriel, I think, would be the first domino. If you get that commitment, then everything else would kind of follow through of people saying, okay, they got a good quarterback. We know they're going to be good again next year. That's a place where I want to go play.
I saw that Van Buren kid, he decommitted from Oregon's program.
I was bummed about that. I wanted a Van Buren boy T-shirt.
I don't know if you could do that.
Why not?
That term.
Really? Is that a thing?
I don't know. I wouldn't have done it, is what
you don't remember
saying.
the Seinfeld
no,
spoof?
I
the Van Buren boys?
I know, but
was that frowned
not
upon?
everybody watched Seinfeld.
Well, you
I
should've.
know,
It's
but
the
not
great-
everybody did.
I wanted that T-shirt.
But he decommitted, and we have talked about this a lot because I just think the world of that sport is now this. It's if you are an established program, programs are not wanting to wait for freshmen or even sometimes sophomores. UCLA, I don't think they had buyer's remorse, but that relationship clearly got ugly at some point during the year, and now he has already left Dante Moore. And I'm wondering if Oregon is ever going to be doing this. And it's not to say never, but you're just going to slide right into another experienced guy. I would imagine the talent around him. He's not the biggest kid. He's 6 foot even, 200 pounds, but that doesn't matter in college the way it does in the NFL because Oregon has horses all around him that allow him to succeed. And I would imagine the year after that, they're going to have horses around him. And then he's going to be gone. And are you just going to go freshman? Are you going to go sophomore?
Depends on who you got.
I think you got to wonder if you're an Oregon fan. And I think if you're a fan of a lot of programs like Oregon, Washington's in this certainly. Have you just given up on the high school quarterback thing and you just accepted your lot is we're just going to play quarterback roulette every year and go get the big name on the market?
Yeah, I don't know if you ever fully give up. I don't think you go that far because there are guys that come in and are game changers right away. Like I think you can make an argument for Aiden Childs this year if he would have played. What could that have looked like in Corvallis?
Okay, I'm going to press you a little bit on this one because I don't disagree. I wanted Aiden to get more reps. He didn't, and it is what it is. Who are the game changers that are coming in as freshmen?
Caleb Williams.
Okay.
I mean, there are guys out there.
Yeah.
It's hard to think of a million names off the top of my head, but freshmen have played, and they have, but not all of them, but some have played and been successful. Trevor Lawrence started as a freshman and won a national championship.
Winston as well. I didn't ask you that to make you look foolish. I'm just simply asking because I think when you do think about it, you can't come up with a lot of great examples. And while it's not impossible, certainly, it does kind of lend itself to say, this season might not be what we're hoping. You know what I mean? Because of the development and the growth part of that. Whereas Riley Leonard, Dylan Gabriel, the McCall kid from
Grayson McCall.
Yeah, Grayson
Coastal
McCall.
Carolina.
Yeah, like all of these guys hitting the portal, they've proven it. And a lot of them have the experience enough where you give them the playbook as soon as they commit, they're going to know everything by summer ball. By fall camp, they're good to go. You're not as worried. Yeah, maybe chemistry on field in a game, but when you start with a Hawaii, you probably get a couple quarters to be and still win that game going away. I don't know if programs are going to be as reliable on these true freshmen or sophomore quarterbacks, whereas plug and play junior, senior guys or grad senior guys can come in there and instantly make an impact.
Well, the difference is it's a known commodity against an unknown commodity.
Right.
It's like getting a free agent or drafting a guy in professional sports. You can have the highest hopes you want for the guy that you draft. You have no clue how he's going to turn out. One that's been unique for me in the offseason so far is the kid down at USC, Malachi Nelson, I believe is his name. He was one of the highest ranked commits or quarterbacks in the country last year. It was a massive get for Lincoln Riley. He had committed to him when he was at Oklahoma, followed through with a commitment to USC. They're evidently in the portal this offseason. And there's another kid that they're thinking about playing. And I saw Lincoln had comments the other day that he just didn't have a very good freshman year. He was a little banged up, didn't develop the way that they wanted to see him develop 1 year in. I'm paraphrasing, but to a certain extent, that's what he said. And it's just unique because not everybody is going to come in right away, to your point, and be ready to play. I think there will always have to be, though, a balance, not just at the quarterback position, but everywhere else on your roster. It cannot be one way or the other. It has to be a mixing of both. This is where I think you have extremes, right? UCLA is a team that cannot recruit, but they've gotten a lot of talented players through the portal. They have fallen short the last 2 years because they don't have the depth, they don't have the development, and they're just not there as a program because all they can do is transfer portal. You look at a place like Clemson. Clemson's a top 10 recruiter year in and year out. What did they say no to? The transfer portal. Where did they fall short? Certain positions where they could have gotten a guy in the transfer portal. It cannot be one way or the other. It cannot be just this one lane road and we're only going to recruit or we're only going to transfer portal. You have to be able to find guys, develop guys. You're not going to find an entire offensive line in the transfer portal. You're not going to find 3 elite weapons if you don't have any in the portal. Like, you can go get a quarterback. You can go get a safety. You can go get an edge rusher. You can go get a linebacker. But the transfer portal, I think, mainly, if you want it to work the best in college, it has to be to plug holes on your roster and just fill where you need, not build out an entire roster. So I think coaches, not only at quarterback but everywhere else, will look at the quarterback position and say, you always want to bring guys in. You just never know if they're going to hit. And if they're not ready to play, you have the ability to go get a guy in the transfer portal if you need to.
I'm certainly not going to speak for Duck fan, but I would kind of ask out loud, what are the expectations with Dan Lanning at Oregon? And I know it didn't end well this year, and he's 0-3 against Washington, but they're going to a new conference next year. Harbaugh might be gone. Ohio State, like, let's see what that is. If they get Cam Ward, I've seen Cam Ward be bad too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're going to have a decent argument that maybe we should be the favorite in this conference next year. And I just wonder where Duck fan team expectations are, whereas, like, Dylan Gabriel comes in, has a good year, he leaves. All right, is this the year we go the young quarterback? I don't know, guys. That offensive line's experience, the receivers are ready now. I just don't know where fans are going to be with this stuff at that particular position because of how rare it can be to hit on the young player, whereas you're always constantly going after, well, look at the market. Like, I bet next year there's going to be a great quarterback market, and you're really going to give the keys to the sophomore? Or are you going to go, well, that guy did pretty good at that program. Imagine if he had Oregon weapons. Like, I just wonder if Duck fan, not the coaching staff or the program, if the fan base is kind of moved on a little bit, given what Bo Nix did here, if Gabriel has a good year, where you're like, I don't really want to wait. I want to win next year, and we have the horses to do it if our quarterback is seasoned and ready.
I think there's a trust there with the coaching staff that they see it day in and day out. And so if they don't think that a guy's ready to play, I trust them to go find somebody in the portal. If they're handing the reins, let's say Ty Thompson shocks everybody and ends up getting the job, I would imagine it's because he showed enough in practice in the times that they played and on film that he's ready to take that big jump and be a starting quarterback next year. I mean, for where they're going, man, I mean, the sky's the limit, dude. They drastically improved from year 1 to year 2. It was a heartbreaking loss on Friday. It's a devastating way to end your season. But to go from where they were at the end of last year, how bad they were defensively, to where they were this year and how much they improved in that area, talent acquisition is always going to be something that Dan Lanning is the best at. They have a top 10 recruiting class in the country. They're going to hit a bunch of home runs in the transfer portal. I have no doubt about that because they got as much money to spend as anybody, and that's the world that we live in now. And this is where I think if you're looking for a silver lining between the Oregon-Washington thing, Washington owns us right now. They have our number. They've won 3 in a row, and it's hard to admit that. But I did have a Husky fan tweet me Friday and said, imagine losing 12 in a row. And I thought, thank you for the perspective. I don't know if I can handle that.
What a nice Husky
fan. It was like a welfare check on Friday. Like, great game. How you doing, Dirt? You doing okay? And I was like, no, I'm not. And he said, we lost 12. I said, you're right. But this is where I think it's the hope that you have long-term is that you're not winning the battles, but you can win the war, if that makes sense.
No, I get what you mean.
That you're not winning currently, but you're going to keep accumulating more talent than Washington.
The Jimmies and the Joes will outdo maybe eventually some of the X's and O's that Washington can point to.
If that's their advantage, that's the one that you can overcome with talent, and I think that's your long plan, and Oregon's going to continue to do it, and I expect nothing different this month.
Dylan Gabriel linked to the Ducks. He's going to take a visit. A lot of people think he's going to pick Oregon. We'll have to wait and see on that one, what they're doing at the quarterback position. A lot to get to in the next hour and a half of the show. Dirt and Sprague back with more, but first, Swag with the sports update.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by Red Tail Golf Center's annual store-wide holiday sale, now through December 24th. Details at golfredtail.com. First on the Fan, Ducks quarterback Bo Nix taking the scenic route to New York for this weekend's Heisman Trophy Awards ceremony. Tuesday night, he was in Southern California, picking up the Campbell Award, commonly referred to as the academic Heisman. He becomes the second Ducks QB to win that following in the footsteps of Justin Herbert. Nix was also named the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year Tuesday, one of 9 Ducks named to the Pac-12's all-conference teams. He is the first-team quarterback, wide receiver Troy Franklin, tight end Terrence Ferguson, center Jackson Powers-Johnson, defensive tackle Brandon Dorless, and cornerback Kyrie Jackson also named first-teamers as well. For Oregon State, there are 10 Beavers on the all-conference teams, including running back Damien Martinez, offensive lineman Talise Fuaga, and Jake Levengood, and linebacker Easton Mascarenas-Arnold on the first team. NBA's in-season tournament quarterfinals wrapped up Tuesday. The Bucks will face the Pacers in semifinal number 1 Thursday. Milwaukee just stomped the Knicks, 146-122. The Lakers will face the Pelicans Thursday night semifinal number 2. Austin Reeves with a 3 in the final minute to put away the Suns 106-103. No Jeremy Grant tonight for the Trailblazers. He's still in the NBA's concussion protocol. They are in San Francisco to face the Warriors 7 o'clock. Portland's won 3 of their last 5. It is they are 12.5-point underdogs. More sports scores and stories. 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on pro and college football from across the country at Spirit Mountain Casino. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
Well, I might try and sneak a segment on something in here in a moment that won't make everybody happy, but sometimes you got to do one for you. We'll get to that in a moment.
Are we still getting a Quake take?
Well, you took my Quake take.
You have no other Quake takes
That
in
was
your
my
arsenal?
Quake. Derek Carr, or excuse me, David Carr.
I think people do that a lot.
Yeah. David Carr said that the Eagles should bench Jalen Hurts for Marcus. They can win easier with Marcus Mariota at quarterback.
Which we know.
Than Jalen Hurts.
That's not
like
true.
It's just a horrible. Like, that is the all-time take, Quake.
It's I think his overall point of, like, he certainly doesn't look right, but I also don't know enough about, like, really what his injury is to just suggest, oh, yeah, sitting out 1 week's going to suddenly change everything physically for him.
Yeah.
It would help, I'm sure, but the idea that you just play like 3-4 games without him, the season's almost over.
Yeah, no big deal. You're just going to lose the 1 seed and home field advantage in the division if you lose this weekend in Dallas, but other than that, everything's fine.
Yeah, and the guy who, he got benched for Desmond Ridder. Okay, like I don't hate Marcus Mariota, but I just don't understand that take.
Let's get to our daily cup check. Are we ready to get our daily cup check in?
Oh,
we need like a sound effect of like a something hitting a cup or something.
We need like a
one of those.
When's the last time you really got hit in the lower region?
My dog will do it occasionally. Like if I'm laying on the couch, sometimes he just jumps on top of me and you get like a landed paw that's not necessarily a kick, but it's more of like a squeeze and a push. And it's you get that kind of sick to your stomach feeling that's not comfortable.
Another reason why my dog is not allowed on the couch.
Keep him off the furniture.
Get your paw off of me.
I will say, I was watching some of the pregame stuff, kind of getting ready for dinner, and they were interviewing Lillard as he was warming up, and he was going through his stuff, and they were talking to him about the in-season tournament, and he had some lines of like, when this was announced, nobody really knew what the hell it meant. Nobody had any idea of what this was going to look like or what it was going to be. But he said that as the tournament has gone on, players have kind of bought in, and I think you've seen that, and that is the ultimate first test. Like, fans and larger numbers of viewers will eventually come, but none of this can happen. And it's sad that we even need to do this because they get paid millions of dollars to play a sport. But you have to have the buy-in from the players. It has to look different and feel different than a normal regular season game. And I at least will give the players credit there that when I'm watching these games, a little bit the night before, and obviously last night you had 2 games, and the Lakers-Suns game ended up being good. There seems to be more of a buy-in from the player level, and that was step number 1 that you needed to accomplish, and I feel like they have.
Well, I want to give a lot of credit too, though, to the fans. These atmospheres, Sacramento's was electric, Indiana's was electric, Milwaukee's was really good last night. These fan bases are also going to the games, and I think they're just like, we're going to order a beer or 2, and we're just going to have fun with this. That's my whole point. Like, I was way wrong on this. Like, I was out in the forefront, like, this was not. And I still have a lot of problems with what the commissioner's not doing.
Sure. I still think the bigger question will be, like, is there a tangible difference in ratings? And I don't know, maybe you've seen that. Like, there's a significant
60% difference on the nights these games are being played versus games that were being played on the exact same nights. And the fan buy-in, I think, helps the players care a little more.
Yeah.
Like, Giannis, to the financial part. Giannis is in the post-game interview with Jared Greenberg. And he's asked about him and Lillard, and then Greenberg goes, kind of nice to get that extra $100K, right? And Giannis is like, what are you talking about? And Greenberg's like, you weren't aware that you're getting $100,000 for this win? And Giannis dropped just clean, perfect, the rich get richer. I was just crying, laughing in my living room.
Here's $100,000.
The other thing that's helped a lot, and I know some football people listening to this are just kind of rolling their eyes because it's basketball talk pre-Christmas. The narrative's not fitting right now for people, and it's funny to watch them still hang on to stupid narratives that aren't real. LeBron, if he plays. LeBron plays as much as any other player in the league.
He carried the Lakers in the first half last night.
He played the most minutes of anybody else on this game, and then he did the commissioner a solid in the postgame and said, it's a tournament, and who doesn't want to win when you're playing? He's not doing the whole, well, if I win the cup, it's basically like a title. Like, everybody's throwing that at him as if it's going to be a narrative, and it might to some Twitter LeBron fans.
Oh, would that be number 5 for him?
Well, but he's not doing that. He's playing the games. He's playing hard. He's playing to win, and why not go try to win the whole damn thing if you're in a tournament is what he said. So people that don't care about basketball, that's okay. You don't have to. A lot of your narratives aren't sticking. They're actually not real. You're just refusing to watch, and you don't want to give into it. The top players are playing, and they're playing their ass off, and they care. Even if you don't, they care.
They care. The atmospheres have been great as this has weeded itself down to games. It's like, okay, we can continue to advance it, and I don't think you can't manufacture that.
No.
To the extent as we've seen the atmospheres, especially in these quarterfinal games. So that indicates to me that there is some organic excitement over what this thing is.
It also, on that though, the one thing I would say, Giannis said this, he referenced it. I think this whole going to Vegas crap, it needs to stop after this year.
Yeah.
Silver did an interview. He's doing the rounds right now. One of the interviews on Sirius XM, and he didn't say it, but he basically said there's no promises. And he goes, but we know Vegas and Seattle. And it's like everybody knows the dirty secret.
Yeah,
and
you know where you're going.
He can't announce it yet because he wants bids or whatever, but we know they're going there. Giannis was like, I got to go away from my family for a few days to go to Vegas for something. And you got to stop that. It may not be fair to every team, but these home venues are better than Vegas.
Yeah. And I think I said that yesterday. I think they were hedging their bet because they didn't fully know how exactly, and maybe it was travel issues or so they might have to tweak the schedule where maybe you have the quarterfinals and then they space out. The trick is when you have the quarterfinals and you have excitement, you don't want to wait too much longer for the semifinals and the championship because you want to capitalize on the excitement for it. But if you don't know where you're going until
you win or
the
lose,
next night, and you're wanting to move, if you want it to have hype and you want to have all of this coverage and all these people, you can't just do it on the next day. For the teams, yeah, it's no big deal. They said, okay, we're going here or here. But if you want the big giant media entourage to go and you're having TNT and ESPN bring them and you want them to bring their pregame show and do it live, all that, you can't just flip it around in 48 hours when you don't know where you're going.
We had a listener question on this and I want to get to coming up next because I thought it was an interesting theory. I also have a slight fear about something that could happen, and so I want to continue on this a little bit coming up next. Also, what did it feel like? I haven't watched much Bucks basketball this year, so I kind of got one of my first tastes of Damian Lillard playing in it. I obviously watched their debut.
You picked the right one.
He looked good. They look good, man.
Yeah,
Outside, I watched the debut. I watched the game that Portland played in Milwaukee. And so this was game 3 of Damian Lillard that I've seen in a different uniform. And we got a poll question out on that kind of idea. So we'll get to that coming up next on The Fan.
There'll be days like
This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
everything falls into place.
All right, I want to read a couple of thoughts here. Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. We had an interesting tweet last night from a listener who had a theory on the in-season tournament. I wanted to ask you guys. Somebody said, calling anything with this dumb tournament of regular season games hype or excitement seems a bit generous. I could not care less about a regular season Pacers or Kings game. Calling it a tournament does not change that.
Certainly fair to have the opinion. I would also respond to that same person and say, you're not watching, because if you did watch, you wouldn't have the opinion that the atmosphere or whatever isn't hyped. I'm telling you, quite literally, who's watched all of these, the atmosphere and energy is awesome.
As somebody who went in with that mindset and still at times have that kind of rattling in the back of my mind of like, this is dumb, it's a regular season tournament. What does it really mean? The players and the fans are buying in, and that is what if you would have turned this on and it looked like a normal regular season game where the stadium's a little sparse, it's a Tuesday night, guys are, a player sits out here or there, you're not getting any of that. You're getting a buy-in from the players and fans that makes it feel more important. Now, you don't have to care about it.
Elevated sense of intensity, urgency, competition, excitement from the fans. It looks like a playoff game. It feels like a playoff game.
The Indiana one did. The Laker atmosphere was great. Yeah, Milwaukee was a blowout, so it's hard. I mean, the atmosphere was good, but they blew out the Knicks.
It's okay to say, like, I don't care about basketball that much, or I don't watch it. Like, I have no problems with that, but don't give an opinion on something that sounds like you're not watching. It's an odd thing to do, is to be like, well, it's not that great. And are you watching? Because it seems like that's a bad opinion if you're watching.
It means you're not watching. But that's okay. You don't have to watch.
You don't have to watch.
No.
But people that are watching, it's been something, man.
It's been interesting.
It has been.
I wanted to read first a tweet that we got last night. I wanted to ask. And then one small fear that I have. By the way, listeners asking, where did this go? I don't want to go through the whole thing, saying, can you do a fast rundown of what this even is? I haven't watched any of it. What are the benefits and what is the structure? I mean, it's like a soccer tournament where there's group play. You advance out of the group stage. Now we're in the knockout stage. So I'm using soccer terms here. So we're in basically survive in advance mode. Now we're into the semifinals, which will take place tomorrow. They start at 2:00. And every player gets $500K. Is that what the winning is?
I think the winning team is $500K.
$500K a player. Is there anything else on top of that that I'm missing?
There's a winning pool for the coaches too.
Okay. And then there's a
trophy.
There's a trophy, I want to say there's one more thing, and I'm blanking on it. I know I'm watching it, and I'm not doing a great job.
But there's nothing that applies to the NBA playoffs at the end of the season. Yeah. It's just all self-contained.
I would like to see more of that. That's a wish and hope that I have of this, of tying, whether it's a little cap relief, whether it's a draft pick, whether I don't know what. I'm not smart enough to come up with that answer.
Secure home court advantage in your first round, no matter what the record.
I'd be all for like something like that, a benefit outside of just we won. What does it mean? Our players got richer. That's cool.
Well, but I said that at the start of this. It was just like, what does that do for me as the fan? What it does is it gives me players who give a damn. So as a viewer or somebody going to a game, like that Lakers-Suns game was always going to be a big deal. But then you add the fact that it's kind of an elimination game on something that is not that important, but it's an elimination game. And you kind of saw at the end there, Suns came back in the third quarter. They were down big, took a lead, back and forth, all the way to the end. And I watched the least amount of muscle definition on an athlete in pro sports flex because he hit a three-pointer at the end. I told my wife,
Austin Reeves he's the least defined athlete.
Dirt, I turn to my wife and I go, Austin Reeves has zero muscle definition and he's flexing.
I'm trying to think of like an average old white quarterback, like Joe Flacco. There's no way Joe Flacco has muscle definition.
I bet you Joe Flacco has more muscle definition. Austin Reeves doesn't use his biceps.
Does Austin Reeves have more than Joe Ingles?
Ooh, Joe Ingles is a good one.
Joe Ingles is at least wide. His arms are wide.
He's a little
Austin
heavier.
Reeves has like smaller arms than me.
That he's fat. So.
But I also acknowledge if I was Austin Reeves in that moment and Kim Kardashian was courtside, I'd also flex. Look at me. The only white guy on this team. It's got to be, by the way, top 5 coolest things for white athletes has got to be a key member of the LA Lakers. Has to be in the top 5 things that a white athlete could want is being a key member on the Los Angeles Lakers.
That's Kurt Rambis.
Kurt Rambis, baby. Jeremy tweeted us last night, said, Convo starter. Look at this. We're getting segment ideas. Will the in-season tournament instantly mean more if LeBron wins it? Because every LeBron stand from here on out would use it in the GOAT arguments, making every in-season tournament from then on matter from the accolade counting standpoint, which we all know everybody cares about. Does it bring legitimacy if LeBron wins?
No, I think it's brought legitimacy by just giving us what it's given us so far. It certainly helps to have a LeBron-type name win the first one of all time and have a guy at that stage of his career care a lot. I would probably be classified as a guy who's a LeBron stan. I like LeBron James a lot. I think it's an absolute conversation, and I think if you're denying that, you're a blind person who hasn't watched basketball since 1998. But even if you disagree with the opinion, I also don't have a LeBron avatar, and I'm not going to go on Twitter and do all the defending against people. Sure, some 10-year-olds will say he's the GOAT now because he's won 5 or whatever. He's not even using that as a thing for himself. He just wants to go compete.
I think it's not a LeBron thing. Like LeBron's going to use this. I think it's more of just what will the narrative be if LeBron wins it, and does that amplify for example, you are all in on the Indiana Pacers, and I love you for it.
Yes.
You got Pacer fever right now.
Halliburton.
We all know the conversation out of this will be different if the Pacers win than if the Lakers win. We all know that it will. It was the Nuggets won the title last year, and people didn't even want to watch Denver in the NBA Finals. Jokic wanted to go back to his home country and race horses, and we're like, can we get this over with? Like, there's a difference in the NBA when stars win. I don't even want to guess what the difference in ratings is between a Lakers and Bucks championship game and a Pelicans and Pacers championship game.
Quite a bit.
There's a massive gap there. So I think that's the larger point. It's not that LeBron's going to walk around saying, I got 5 now. It's more just the legitimacy of the conversation and having it be a topic that leads sports shows everywhere.
I think the veteran players actually like it because they know how long a grind the 82 games is. So to focus on something that's just right in front of them in the moment, it's like, okay, you convince yourself that you're playing for this play, that it's just this one thing, and it gets you through the first 2 months of the season, as opposed to looking up and saying, oh man, I got 50 more games to go.
I think one more thing I would add to that on your Laker point, you're not wrong. If the Lakers win it or are in the championship, it's a bigger deal. I don't refute that.
I know who Adam Silver is rooting for.
So is the network. So are all the networks. But what's funny about what you say is you go back to even last year, even after they won the championship, Mike Malone and the Nuggets were still dancing because they beat the Lakers. Like, it was a bigger deal for them to beat the Lakers.
To beat the Lakers and the Celtics.
Than to beat the kind of lucky Jimmy Butler Miami Heat for the title in 5 games in like a gentleman's sweep. They were at the parade still dancing on the Laker grave. So
they swept them.
When players and coaches in the league itself think it's a bigger deal to beat LeBron and the Lakers, yeah, of course it's a bigger deal if LeBron and the Lakers are there and they win it.
The other fun thing you're going to get out of this is TNT and ESPN are crossing over their broadcast teams. So the play-by-play guys will stay with their network, but the analysts are going to flop. So I think Reggie's going to be on ESPN.
Going somewhere else. He apologized to Ian Eagle during the game. Yeah. He's like, I'm not going to be able to work with you, Ian.
And then I think Doris and
Rivers, Doc
Doc
Breen
are going to be with
like Kevin Harlan or something.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You imagine a Breen Harlan like play-by-play off in a game? Burn!
They each get to do like the play-by-play on one side of the floor. When one team has the ball, Harlan does it. When the other team has it, Breen does it.
Would that be a good broadcast? Or
I
would
don't know.
It not be good?
You take a breather. All right, you go on that side of the floor. You go. Oh, now there's a turnover. Now we go the other way.
Between the yards.
Well, sometimes, guys, the color analysts will give you a good thought. But there are a lot of them that just don't tell me much.
No.
And so, like, it just, maybe you could do a Breen, Kevin Harlan off in one game.
I'd be all for it, man. They're two of the greats. All right, there you go. There's your cup check for the day. A lot of cup check for a Wednesday. Let's move on to some other things in the final hour of the show. We got to get to a dumpster fire in the NFL. That needs to be talked about. I got a segment for me that I would like to do that I'm very concerned about, that I would like to bring to the attention of the masses. A couple of the college football notes, including some transfer portal updates. We got a lot still to get to. Don't go anywhere. Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
to Portland. 1080 The Fan.
That's his thing. That's beautiful. Isn't that great?
An Odyssey station. Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by Laurelhurst Market Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. Their butchers are all trained chefs, eager to help with cooking advice. Get to know your friendly neighborhood butcher online at laurelhurstmarket.com. First on The Fan. It's going to be quite a week for Ducks quarterback Bo Nix on his way to New York for Saturday's Heisman Trophy Award ceremony. Tuesday night, he was in Southern California, named the Campbell Award winner, commonly referred to as the academic Heisman. He's the second Duck quarterback to claim that award, following the footsteps of Justin Herbert. Nix also named the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year Tuesday. 9 Ducks named the Pac-12 All-Conference teams, 5 other first-teamers along with Nix. For the Oregon State Beavers, 10 players on the all-conference teams, including 4 first-teamers. NBA's in-season tournament quarterfinals wrapped up Tuesday. Milwaukee Bucks will face the Indiana Pacers in Thursday's semifinal number 1. The Bucks hit 23 threes to knock out the Knicks, 146-122. Lakers, meanwhile, needed a 3 from Austin Reeves in the final minute to put away the Suns, 106-103. They'll take on the New Orleans Pelicans Thursday night. Rest of the NBA back at it in regular season action tonight, including the Trailblazers in San Francisco to take on the Warriors, 7 o'clock on Root Sports Northwest. Portland's won 3 of their last 5, but will not have Jeremy Grant tonight. He's still in the NBA's concussion protocol. Portland, 12.5-point underdogs. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on pro and college football from across the country at Spirit Mountain Casino. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Your favorite fan shows are on YouTube. Mash the subscribe button and like us for live streaming video and 1080 The Fan on demand.
Oh, I tell you, Jennifer, she is really a party pooper.
This is Dirt and Sprague.
Jennifer poops at parties? So she poops at parties, and people know this?
With Andy Dirt Johnson and Brendan Sprague.
I poop at parties. But people don't know because I close the door.
Dirt and Sprague on 1080.
Where do she go for it? Does she visit the water closet and make door of the open so people may see and smell things? This sounds horrible.
The Fan.
New York streets will kill us.
Hey, let's do this. Final hour. Dirt and Sprague here on Portland Sports Leader 1080 The Fan, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, live on YouTube. Shout out to everybody watching there this morning. We love you all. You can go subscribe to our channel, youtube.com/1080 The Fan if you haven't done so.
How much love Sprague really has for me.
I scared the living hell out of our engineer just now in the break.
Don't do that to
I wouldn't want to
Joey.
scare Joey.
Don't scare Joey.
Well,
that's all we got.
He's
right
the
now in
only
building,
one, man.
That's actually what Kim said.
We got to do everything we can to keep that guy around.
So he's like the most easygoing dude.
If he leaves, they're going to start asking you and I to do engineering things, and we don't know how to plug stuff in.
I'm sneaky. I'm actually really good at being sneaky.
You really, really sneaky.
Yeah, but you're more of a MacGruber than a MacGyver, so.
MacGruber!
You know, he'd probably tell you you're wrong there. I'm more of a 007 agent that you didn't even know was around you.
Playing some GoldenEye, sneaking around walls.
I ran up to him and he didn't hear me. Like, that's how good at being sneaky I am.
Did he have headphones in?
No, he was putting a jacket on.
Oh, okay.
Just got it right. He's like, oh my God. And then our boss was in there and I told her the story. And as I'm walking back, because the commercial break's almost done, I hear this that she says to the other coworkers, why do we live here? And I went, I know, this is terrible weather. Why do I live here?
Why do we do this to ourselves?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. This place has a stranglehold on me. I like to go to new places.
I used to tell myself when I was younger that it made you appreciate the good weather more than if you got it all the time. And that was my internal selling point. But the older I've gotten, especially after we did a Phoenix trip, a Scottsdale trip last March, it was tough. That was a tough one. Coming back from that was one of the most, it's the equivalent of going to Hawaii in the winter kind of thing where you're just good weather, sunshine, it feels good. You got more energy.
Yeah.
You get that vitamin D in your life. Everybody needs that.
You need the D.
And then you get home and you're just like, oh, God, what are we doing?
Well, but it's a legit question. Why do we live here?
I don't know. Can we take the show on the road? Let's go take it to Bend. I'll move to Bend. You guys want to move to Bend? They get
I
sunshine
would
there.
move
It's
to
cold, but they get sunshine.
Bend in a heartbeat.
You would?
I would
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I would in a heartbeat.
I was kind of talking about the state. You guys just went 2 hours to a different city.
Well, that way you're still relatively close.
Can I do the coast and you do the Bend thing, and we do like the
Costos Barkley? We'll just be in different locations
go.
doing the show. We can pull that off.
Yeah.
I think so.
We'll send you. We'll send some cameras out. We can get
there
all
you go.
the feeds going.
Okay.
Put a feed in your house. Well, we love you all, even though it's terrible weather, and thank you for listening or watching. We got a lot to get to in the final hour of the show.
Boy, is that a bad take by Marcus Spears?
The Seahawks will beat the 49ers on Sunday?
Is that just like, we need a bold take, man? Give us one.
That is definitely. We need something that will get a headline and get idiots like us talking, and here you go. Here's your take, because I don't think that's going
Those
to happen.
two teams haven't been close in like 3 years.
No, that is a bad
matchup.
I want to talk about a dumpster fire in the NFL that we have not. It's been in my notes all week. We just haven't gotten to it yet. And people are trying to throw cold water on this, which is what happens when you get a report that is this bad. But I think with the person that reported it, dude, there's a shred of truth in all of this stuff. Now, is it fully true? I don't know. Diana Rossini, who I believe is now with The Athletic, if I'm not mistaken, came out with a report earlier this week saying that the Jets don't know what to do at quarterback. They tried Tim Boyle. It was terrible. Didn't work. They wanted to go back to Zach Wilson, but Zach Wilson was showing some trepidation about being back in the lineup because he was fearful of his health. He thought he was going to get hurt. Now, Robert Saleh came out and was like, no, this didn't happen. And Aaron Rodgers was on the Pat McAfee show and was like, come on, this didn't happen. And then ranted about the leakers. He's more angry about the leaking than the supposed thought of Zach Wilson making millions of dollars and refusing to go back into a game for a company that he works for.
People like Aaron Rodgers. If you've noticed their grift lately, it's all the media's fault.
It's not my
Every single time. It's the media. The media's a bad guy.
Dude, usually when a quarterback gets hurt, a head coach can survive on that of like, hey, if this didn't happen, we would be fine. If he didn't get hurt, we'd be okay. Kyle Shanahan's a good example of this, right? He's had years where his quarterbacks have gone down, and they've been really bad. They've drafted in the top 5, and then he gets a quarterback back, and they're fine. Nobody panics. This is getting tough, man. The draft pick initially to take Zach Wilson that high, he's been terrible his entire NFL career, doesn't have an offensive line, and when you have this kind of stuff coming out at this point in the season, dude, that is an absolute dumpster fire, and I don't know if he survives this, man. And I don't know if that's fair to him, but you're having reports like that. What are we in week 14 of the NFL season? And there's a report out there. You can deny it all you want. Diana Rossini's not making things up out of thin air without good sources inside the organization. And knowing Zach Wilson as much as I do from the interviews and watching him and all that, like I wouldn't be shocked at all if this is true.
It very well could be true. I would give Diana the benefit, actually. It's her job. She was taken from ESPN by the New York Times to do the athletic football stuff, and they paid a lot of money for that. She also wrote a really good piece on the Frank Reich firing, which, holy hell, if I was a coach, I want nothing to do with Dave Tepper.
Talk about another dumpster fire.
But, what's fascinating to me is I like Saleh. I think he's really good. Obviously, the defense, he's there. He's a defensive guy, and it's an amazing defense.
Yes, it is.
I don't know how you place blame in organizations that we don't cover, but how do you view the Jets situation at quarterback? Because you could say it's Saleh. How about the general manager?
Huh?
The Steelers, the Browns, the Colts. I mean, now the Jags are going to have to do it. You go through the list of the NFL. The Bengals here, they're still in the running with Browning. You go to the NFC. When you look at the landscape of quarterback in the NFL right now, a lot of backups.
Yes.
How have the Jets been this bad at getting a backup?
Just finding somebody with a pulse. They had one last year in Mike White, and they let him go.
Well, yeah, Miami paid him.
Injected a little bit of life when he came in.
Tim Boyle statistically is one of the worst quarterbacks to ever exist. Ever. In the history of football, Tim Boyle will get to say, I played in the NFL. I played on a Black Friday. Cool. That's a good bragging point. You get to be a pro athlete, and you probably parlay that into a media job you don't deserve.
He was abruptly waived yesterday.
But he's one of the worst quarterbacks to ever exist as a player at that position. How did they screw this up this badly? I have no clue. All of these other teams have had to figure this out, and most of them have been able to do it. And the Jets have this Super Bowl caliber defense.
Yes, they do.
And nothing. And what I love about the Rodgers part is, I guess the report out in New York is the media's kind of turning on this dude because he loves to, again, it's all the media's fault. They're the bad people. He brought in Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, the Jets bent. Colin had this yesterday, and I don't often agree with Colin, but this was one that I thought he hit on the head. Where he's, why would you bend over backwards for a 40-year-old quarterback that may or may not have been a 1-year rental? They hired his offensive coordinator to entice him to come. They signed all of his wide receivers,
both receivers in Cobb and Lazard. Lazard's been a disaster for them this year. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I didn't get it. Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, if healthy with this defense. Sure, I was all in on the Jets because of the Hard Knock show.
They got the Hard Knock bump.
But the minute he gets hurt, no offense, you're 40 and you just popped your Achilles. And by the way, how funny this is, the story's coming out that suddenly he's not playing. Oh, weird. I wonder who wanted to be talked about for 2 weeks for no reason.
Well, they have nothing to play for now, Brandon. Come on.
I don't know, man. The whole thing is a dumpster, and I don't know what you do at coach, if you fire him or not, but how they've handled that quarterback position post-Rodgers, it's been embarrassing.
Yeah, when you have this kind of stuff coming out, though, it's like the old lack of institutional control in college football, right? Like it seems like it's a mess. There's a lot going on there.
Well,
you bench Wilson. He's like, to a listener's point, benching him for Tim Boyle.
Right. What did you do that for?
Like I'm all for benching Zach Wilson. Did you think Tim Boyle was going to be better than Zach Wilson?
Not a soul did.
That's Robert Saleh's call. He's the head coach of the team,
and that's where I would say maybe that's the culpability, but how does the general manager not see the landscape of football and go, wow, there's Danny DeVito has won a football game.
Josh Dobbs
won 3 straight football games and won a game for the Browns. There are guys out there, they're not great. You're not excited about watching them play, but my God, man, other teams have figured this out and they haven't. It's embarrassing. And I know the radio host outed Salah's views on Zach Wilson. They tried to walk that back.
Yeah, I guess I would bet he doesn't love him. Why would he?
They have the longest active streak in football of not making the postseason. At some point as a fan, I'm not even just looking at Salah and their general manager. Maybe Woody Johnson should be held responsible for something.
I mean, he should.
He disappeared for 4 years to go work for Trump. You want to go work in politics, fine, but I can't imagine that helped the team with hey, the owner's gone.
He's in London, wasn't he? The ambassador.
He was
of the
the
United
ambassador
Kingdom
in London, yeah. So I don't know, man. I think you need to go to the top and then you work your way down. There's 5 people starting with the owner that you go, yeah, this organization's a dump.
Also, if this story is even remotely true and you're Zach Wilson, just pack it up and go home, man. You're making millions of dollars to be an NFL player, and if in any way, shape, or form you were saying I don't want to go back out there, oh boy. That's
Can you blame him? Can we be honest about this? Can you blame him?
When you're making that kind of money, yes, I can. I see the point you're making. If their offensive line sucks and he's hung out to dry, you were the number 2 pick in the draft. You're making millions of dollars to play in the NFL. You can't just say I don't want to play. That doesn't work.
It's more bad tape.
I don't want to go to work some days. I wake up, I'm a little tired, I'm a little grouchy. My stomach doesn't feel good because I'm pooping all the time. Guess what? I bring my ass in here. And I give you bad takes for 3 hours, okay? Go play.
You have days where you don't want to do the show with me?
I mean, there's days I wake up and I'm just like, God, I'm tired today. I just want to go back to sleep so bad.
I almost fell back asleep today. I saved it at 4:16.
It's like a once every 9 or 10 days. You just have that one day where you don't get a great night's sleep for whatever reason, and you wake up and it's just like, this sucks. Then you get in here and you're fine, and then you get home and you're like, I'm tired. This sucks.
The nap post-show is pretty pivotal.
But guess what? We keep bringing our asses in here every day, and Zach Wilson, show up to work. Go be a quarterback.
Because our job's the same as being hit by 300-pound
You're
men.
damn right it is. It's just as challenging and physically and emotionally as taxing. All right, one for you. There was a football segment. One for me. I got to do this.
Wait, what?
I got to do this.
Football was for me?
No, for the general listener.
Oh, gotcha.
The general listener. I gave you your football red meat. Now it's one for me. Next on The Fan.
was feeling about half-past dead.
This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
Comment on YouTube. Thanks for doing the show while having the runs, Dirt. You're welcome. We battle through. This is what we do around here, okay? No excuses. Right now, if you text Sebastian to 503-864-6326, SEBASTIAN, Sebastian, to 503-864-6326, you will win. Have a chance to win tickets to go see Sebastian Maniscalco, who's coming to the Moda Center on October 26th, 2024. So get your tickets now, and if you text that in, you got a chance to win. More details, 1080thefan.com. His stand-up show is coming to the Moda Center next October.
I did a poll question at Dirt and Sprague. Do you wake up to atmospheric river rain and wonder, why do I live here, yes or no? And our first response was from Brad, who said, I've done bad things in my life, and this is what I deserve.
Yeah, you're paying for your sins. Is that what you're telling us? We're a sinful city, and that's why we're getting all of this rain?
No, I think people are just dark and twisted the way we are, and so it's nice to actually read that and say, no, I deserve this.
We're in the trust tree here, okay? We all do the show together. We all have different thoughts and topics that get us fired up and passionate. You're a cup guy. You're getting in I gave you a cup check for a half hour today. Can I do one for me? Can we just do a quick one for me? And I think all of us are invested in this. There are two golf stories that I really want to talk about. Really want to talk about.
Isn't that what the Grip City podcast is for?
We're in the off season, okay? I need an outlet. Let me have my outlet.
Back.
Well, not yet, okay? Doesn't really count.
Well,
although Tiger played, and that was awesome.
I watched that.
When he walked up in his workout outfit, how great was that, dude? Good. Let's go, Tiger. They are rolling the golf ball back. This is happening. And
can you explain that to people who have no idea what you're talking about? Because I think there's more people out there than you think.
Remember a couple of years ago when we had all those home runs in baseball and they kept saying this is a juiced baseball, and then they changed the baseball because the guys were hitting so many home runs? That's what's happening in golf, except there's no bifurcation, Neil O'Shea word, where the players for a long time wanted the PGA Tour and professional golfers to have a rolled back golf ball because they hit the ball so far, but they could not agree on any sort of ruling. And so because there's no bifurcation, golf ball manufacturers are now rolling all of their balls back, and this will trickle down to you and me.
Well, not me for a long time. I've been buying a lot of K-Sigs when they're discounted at Costco.
You're saying you're already playing a rollback golf ball?
No, I have boxes and boxes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I got way ahead of this.
Okay.
I lose probably 2 balls around on average. So
you're like Elaine with the sponge. You just hoarded all of the juiced golf balls for years to come.
Dude, there are boxes stacked, K-Sigs from Costco runs.
I'm gonna go buy 10,000 Pro V1s.
Basically, yeah, they're Goodwill Pro V1s. What do you want from me? I'm a bad golfer. Having a Pro V1 ball and a K Kirkland signature's not changing anything about my game.
Dude, COVID was such a boom for the sport of golf, and this is one of those decisions that just makes you think, does anybody know what you're doing? How stupid could you be that the sport is growing in popularity from a local playing level? More people than ever are playing golf and are invested in golf. Let's not let them hit. There's not going to be a massive difference for some people. Depending on your swing speed, it's 5 yards maybe.
Most people
carries
are not
down a little bit.
this.
Most people won't notice it, but just the sheer idea that the average Joe out there is going to have to play with this same golf ball, because Rory McIlroy carries it 315. What are we doing here?
I want to rant real quick. I've not been golfing as long as you have been golfing or Swag has been golfing. You guys know I'm somewhat new to it in the last 4, 5, 6 years. I have come to have the opinion, I think one of the dumbest things I hear from, handicap between 10 and 25 is usually how much they value the golf ball. And look, I don't play with a scratch
you're going
golf ball.
anti-golf ball guy here.
No
difference in the golf ball.
100%.
Okay.
It's how you swing. It's where your club head is. It's all about where you strike. It has the dimples are. I had somebody convince me. I had a buddy convince me. He's a better golfer than I. No, man, T52s, TaylorMade 52. So I went to Dick's and I bought 2 boxes of TaylorMade 52s.
Did you see a big difference in your game?
0.
Still missing 3-foot putts?
Yes. Still not hitting every fairway. Oh, it's the dimple. One of the dumbest things. I had somebody once tell me, I can't play with anything that's not a Pro V1. And I'm like, Why? You're not even that good.
Exactly.
What are you doing? Why are you lying to
Why
yourself?
don't you quit missing 3-footers?
I
and
didn't
then
know
we'll talk.
equipment was so valuable. Like clubs, okay, gloves, maybe, like pants, whatever. The ball?
Yeah, you gotta have a good ball, man. Come
Get
on.
outta
You
here.
gotta have a good
A
ball.
lot of people lying to themselves. Yeah, I had to play the Callaway glow in the dark ball there. No, that's not why you double bogeyed, Steve.
Exactly.
Had nothing to do with it, actually. You shanked your tee shot.
Spraying it right off
That's
the tee.
ridiculous. One of the dumbest takes golfers have. Oh, I got to play with a Pro V1.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
There's like
you really
two
don't.
shots around where I'm in the fairway and I actually hit a mid-iron flush.
Like where you want to
It's
hit
like,
it.
okay, does it check up or not?
Yeah.
That's the only way I can tell if the golf ball actually matters. The other 88 shots.
God.
Yeah, I totally don't only play with Pro V1s.
You play with custom. You put dirt and logos on your ball. You're maybe the most ridiculous, but I think you have the foresight to say what Sprague is saying is right. You're
Sure.
just kind of snobby golf guy in that way.
I'm definitely snobby golf
and
guy
that's
in that
okay
way.
too, but it's the
Well, I
opinions
think
that I hear.
this is the point that like Rory's made this point, and this is like for guys who are 15 to 20 handicaps, like there's not going to be a difference
No.
here. It's mainly going to be for people who are low, single digits.
Scratch amateur players
Yeah.
and then competitive, professional, top competing people. Yes, that's a difference. It makes a difference.
The spin rate gives me the extra 3 yards, and then you chunk your wedge. I know how this goes, dude. I play with you every other weekend.
There's a good comment on the YouTube chat saying the rollback would have saved your buddy from taking out that windshield at Eastmoreland. It's a good point, Joe Fish.
That was Joe Fisher.
Joe Fish needed a rollback ball. Might have stayed in play. Wouldn't have gone wouldn't have sliced 40 yards to the right. The other quick golf note that I do want to get to, I don't know how any of this is working out. None of the professional sport makes sense to me. Like we had a merger, but we don't have a merger, but there's
Yeah,
not an
it's-
agreement. But
it's
what's it going to
goofy.
look like? When the biggest part of the merger was supposed to be that Liv was going to stop poaching players from the PGA Tour. And if you believe anybody who's plugged in at all in the golf world, it sounds like it's imminent today
done deal,
that
yeah.
Jon Rahm's going to get like $500 million, which is larger than the entire purse of the entire PGA Tour season, to go play for Liv, which I don't know what that means, but as a golf fan,
That's a bummer if they
it's
don't.
dude, this is like
This is why the commissioner had to eventually say, okay, what do you want, Saudi?
I mean, you're talking about guys
princes?
like Dustin Johnson is older. That one hurt. You know, Cameron Smith had just won the Open Championship.
that hurt.
You can
Rahm's
argue Jon
somebody that
Rahm's the
could be
face of
ranked number
golf right
one
now.
for the next
Yeah.
few years.
Yeah, him and Scheffler are like the top dogs.
Yes.
And you've lost one of. This is like Alabama going to the G League of the NFL. And you're like, no,
No, why are you doing
the
that?
playoff committee. Come on, we wanted to screw somebody else for you.
We want to put you in the playoffs.
I think his thinking is, yeah, I'll take the bag. And then because he's won majors recently, he
He's
has
got ins.
exemptions for the next, and he figures he has enough exemptions to wait out how long it's going to take for the PGA and the Liv to sort out its thing.
What does this do to the merger, though? Like, how do you still negotiate in good faith when you're supposed to be at the bargaining table coming to an agreement about how you merge your sport, and they're stealing the best player in your sport right now?
Dude, this is
Outside of Rory, Rory's the only guy who's probably more recognizable in golf than Jon Rahm right now.
It's very similar to a merge that just happened, actually, where I would say one is Liv and the other is the PGA, as we saw with, was it Monahan, whatever.
Jay
Monahan.
Monahan. Yeah.
I'm on an Alaska credit card carrier, and so I got the credit card, and 2 months after I got it, Hawaiian Airlines broke away the partnership, and I'm like, this was almost the entire reason I got it.
Shout out to the companion fair.
And they just announced
They're buying 'em.
the partnership. Hawaiian was basically like piss off, and then Alaska like, we're just gonna buy you, and Hawaiian's like, okay. That's the PGA and Liv. I mean, you wanted to break away, you want to be big and bad. You can't outdeal trillionaires, dude. You can't. And this is what's happened. I don't know what any of this means. If you guys don't, I definitely don't. I also don't know how people are viewing these athletes anymore. I was texting with a buddy, and we somehow brought up LeBron because he was playing, and I said, LeBron, people I don't know how are aware of this. LeBron's starting to sniff around the Saudi money. He was caught getting into limos with Saudi princes. Like
He's going to go play Saudi basketball?
No, I think he's going to eventually he's going to become a 10 billion billionaire, I think, in his post-career. And I don't know if he'll take the bag from the Saudi princes, but I had said, like, for everything the guy publicly stands on, I'm going to be disappointed if he's just like, yeah, I'll take the Saudi money. But I said this in the last round, like, it's hard to be mad at the people versus, like, the situation. The situation's terrible.
Yeah.
It reeks. But what's the percentage of Americans right now? Hey, $100 million, you doing it?
Yeah.
And it's coming from these people? That's what makes this whole conversation weird.
Well, the numbers that it's getting thrown out about Rahm is just, it's bananas.
If
it's
to $600 million is true,
dude.
if that's true,
it's a Shohei Ohtani contract.
to play golf.
I don't know what any of it means. I thought we were merging. I thought this wasn't a thing anymore, and this was going to be like we're bringing the golf game back together. Again, I'll repeat one last thought on this. Golf has exploded in popularity since COVID. It was all people could do. We had the pins up, and you could just ram the ball against the pin. Remember those good old days?
The funniest video still is everybody getting the pars and birdies and just hitting it as hard so they can hit this thing like birdie.
It boomed in popularity, and in response to that, this is what's happening to the professional game. It's getting broken apart and separated when you had a moment to really capitalize and find a way to grow. It's just, I don't know. It's sad for me. I can't blame anybody for taking that kind of money. It sucks. As somebody who watches the PGA Tour, loves the PGA Tour, John Rahm's one of my favorite golfers, love the passion. This would suck. Not done yet. We'll see, but everybody is saying it is going to happen. I want to give a couple other transfer portal updates. We haven't talked about a few other guys who have jumped in from the local schools. Also, where some of these other quarterbacks are potentially looking at going. We'll get to that coming up next. First, here's Swag with Sports Center.
From the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by Toro Mexican Kitchen. Transport yourself to Baja, Mexico with delicious regional dishes and cocktails. Book your table today at toropdx.com. First on The Fan. Ducks quarterback Bo Nix will be in New York on Saturday as the Heisman Trophy is awarded. Tuesday night, he was in Southern California, named the Campbell Award winner, commonly referred to as the academic Heisman. He's the second Duck quarterback to claim that award following Justin Herbert. Nix was also named the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year Tuesday. He was one of 9 Ducks named to the Pac-12's all-conference football teams as first-team QB, wide receiver Troy Franklin, tight end Terrence Ferguson, center Jackson Powers-Johnson, defensive tackle Brandon Dorless, and cornerback Kyrie Jackson also named first-teamers. For Oregon State, they put 10 players on the all-conference teams. First-teamers included running back Damian Martinez, offensive lineman Talis Buaga and Jake Levengood, and linebacker Easton Mascarenas-Arnold. Blazers back in action tonight as the rest of the NBA picks up the regular season. They're in San Francisco to take on the Warriors, 12.5-point underdogs. It is a 7 o'clock tip on Root Sports Northwest. Jeremy Grant still out in the NBA's concussion protocol. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the Spear Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on pro and college football from across the country at Spear Mountain Casino. Learn more at SpearMountain.com.
Go deeper on the Trailblazers. The Rose Garden Report with host Sean Highkin. Download the Rose Garden This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, let's get back into the portal. It is portal season. We gave you the update earlier today that Dylan Gabriel is going to be visiting Oregon. Seems like they are the favorite, according to most. Pete Thamel had that report yesterday. A few others did as well.
We've got to come up with some kind of sound for the portal. I don't know what, but like the portal's always active and portal season's here now.
You know what doesn't get enough credit? And I remember this the last time we had Doc Parker on, who joked about the Dr. Pepper commercials. I think they are all fantastically done. And they make me laugh.
Fansville?
The Fansville
I love
ones.
the Fansville, yeah.
Dude, the one where they all freak out after the first play of the game and the guy's lighting stuff on fire. It's like, that is so spot on. That's
It
how
was
every
the
fan
first
reacts.
play, guys.
It was oh, okay, good point. And then they have the portal one now where it's like, not our quarterback. No. It's like, whatever. We can find another quarterback in the portal.
Did you see the conference realignment one?
Yes.
The guy and the girl, and they're like hating each other.
We're still going to out-recruit you. We have higher academic standards than you do. It is so spot on, dude. They do a great job. But yes, we need a sound effect for that. Here we go. Tyler Shuck is going to Louisville.
All right.
7th year of college football.
27-year-old Tyler Shuck.
He's got another year left. So Tyler Shuck's going to Louisville.
I think when you get to the point, and look, this is kind of including Bo Nix, but we talked about this earlier this year. I think when we get to a point when the quarterback literally isn't doing school, they're just a pro quarterback at a college.
Yeah.
I think that might be time to say, hey, eligibility's gone. You don't have any academics to work on. You're just a football player.
Can I briefly defend the Bo Nix slander on this front?
Well, I don't mean it to be slander.
I know you don't. I just see that a lot because somebody, a Husky fan texted in earlier jokingly, was like, how did he win an academics award when he's already, like, he wasn't taking classes this year? That's a valid, I don't know. I don't know how many classes he was taking. Not many. I know that. He was only in college for 5 years. It just felt like longer because he started all 5 years. Like 5-year college football careers are very normal. This kind of, like Dylan Gabriel, different.
Yes.
Tyler Shuck, different. Like these are guys who have been in college for, Tyler Shuck's first year at Oregon was Mario's first year at Oregon. He was there for the 4 years, and then it's been 2 years since he left.
Lost the Civil War.
He did in the COVID year.
Duck legend.
So, like, yeah, there's a difference between 7 and 5. I went to college for 5 years. A lot of people go to college for 5 years.
And I give Bo a lot of credit for honestly putting himself in a position where year 5, he's like, I don't need any more school. I'm done with school.
Yeah.
It's got to be awesome to do that.
Yes.
But Shuck, year 7?
Year 7. He's going to be 25, 26, something like that.
You know, is everybody else getting all of these post-COVID benefits, by the way? Like, oh, well, you did something during COVID, so you get a free thing. Like,
we're almost out.
We did radio shows in person, and we didn't really understand COVID. Where's my thing?
We did. They wanted us to be in different studios, and we were like, screw that, dude. I'm not doing shows.
If Dirt's going to die, I'm going to die with him.
We're dying together.
It's not going to be Smith and Sprague. It's always going to be Dirt and Sprague. We'll be the Muppets in the afterlife of A Christmas Carol.
Thelma and Louise driving off the cliff. You are now a Florida State honk from the last couple of days defending their playoff candidacy.
Shut up.
And your quarterback might be going to Florida State. The latest reports are that DJ is looking at Florida State, and DJ are maybe getting in bed together. He had also been connected to Louisville. That obviously ended last night because they got Tyler Shuck. And DJ evidently eyeing going back to the ACC, which would set up for a very entertaining return to.
No, they play at Florida State.
That's right. They get him at home next year because they were in
that
Clemson.
one well.
Well done. But it looks like Florida State, not done deal, but they're the front runner right now for DJ.
And it'd be wild when he plays in the SEC next year at Florida State.
Ooh, hot take right there.
I don't think it's hot. I think you read the tea leaves, and that conference feels like they realize not getting in as an undefeated champion may mean their conference is dead, which I would make that's a good argument.
You're a glorified group of 5.
I mean, there's no other explanation for doing what they did. Anyways, yeah, good luck. Good luck to DJ on the old portaling for the 3rd time. I do. I wish him well. He seems like a really nice guy.
I'd be curious. That's an interesting fit at Florida State. He's going to have, they're going to have to replace Wilson and Keon Coleman, who are both transfer portal guys. I don't know about Trey Benson and where his eligibility is. But it's just, I don't know. He's
going to have a lot of things around him. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of excuses to be making. Like that team, Norvell's recruiting his ass off.
Yeah, they're not going to have the 5'8" wide receiver argument that he had at Oregon State this past year. Wanted to give a quick update on the Oregon players that have entered the portal. Ashton Kozart did last week before the conference title game. Chris Hudson and Josh Delgado, wide receivers, they're both in the portal. Triquez Bridges, Brian Addison, and Damon David, all defensive backs. Those are the guys in the portal so far.
I think that's a collective war of less than one.
That's the other thing you got to remember with some of these guys is a lot of these portal entrants are guys that are told. And I'm not saying all these guys are that.
No.
But a lot of these are like, we need room. we need open scholarships, and so why don't you go ahead and put your name in the portal? That's what ends up happening in a lot of these. Like Chris Hudson wasn't sniffing the field this year. They didn't.
I was shocked by that, and then eventually you just forget about him. And I saw him at the Civil War high-fiving Tez.
Yeah,
and
he
went,
was still on the team.
Oh, yeah. Chris Hudson was not bad last year. Now he can't play.
And then you watch Tez Johnson in the slot, and you're like, oh, that's why he can't play anymore. So those are the Oregon guys. There was a major blow for Oregon State yesterday.
Jamal McCoy.
McCoy, who is one of their
He got honorable mention for freshman.
He came on really strong at the end of the year. They had some injuries in the secondary. He played great. That one, the Aiden Childs one, is obviously going to be the biggest blow. But those are the kind of guys that you were finding and developing as 3-star recruits, and he was a 3-star recruit, and that one stings a lot.
He was on, what was the list I saw? It might have been freshman for him, but yeah, they've lost a couple guys. Not a ton, not a mass exodus by any stretch,
And
but it's not over yet.
Martinez is still holding on.
Yes,
so you got that.
Cole Branson will play in the bowl game, and they'll have to figure the quarterback thing out.
And the last one I will point to, and speaking of Oregon State, a name that is starting to surface a little bit to keep an eye on is Talon Green, who was the quarterback at Boise State, who you guys played last year, ironically, in Corvallis.
He had to sub in actually in the game, and
because they were so bad.
Touchdown run made me think they were going to lose that game for a minute.
He's a 6'6" freak athlete, not a very good thrower of the football, but a dynamic athlete. He
High
was
school
only
teammate of Damian Martinez too.
Yes, he was from Louisville, Texas, and so that's a name that's starting to circulate with Oregon State. Maybe a move they make to get an athlete in there, run around, hell, run the Wildcat for all I care. It'd be fun. He's fun to watch. Not a great thrower of the football, but a great athlete. So there's a name to keep an eye on for Oregon State at quarterback. We'll wrap it up next. Answer the poll question. Send you on your way on 1080 The Fan.
Me, I'm super fly.
This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
Me, I'm super fly.
All right, let's rattle through some poll questions here.
Now, Danny O'Neill really disagrees with the Ohtani. He says the idea that Shohei Ohtani's free agent should be less secretive is just about the most self-serving, asinine opinion that any media member could trot out there.
You think Huskies would be a little happier right now? You got good things going for you? That sounds like a guy who really wants the MLB team in Seattle to do something relevant as well.
Is it a bad thing to have it highlighted that the best player in the sport is choosing? I honestly, I said this yesterday or Monday.
I don't blame him for it, but it is bad for the sport.
Yeah, I don't know why that's such a self-serving thing. I said Monday it's all WWE now. You said they're not going to do the decision. I would like a high school football recruiting. Put a table of hats down. Like I would watch that every time.
A Dodger hat, a Cubs hat, a Blue Jay hat, a Giants hat, a Red Sox hat.
Right,
You go pick the team you're going to play for.
Dude, like if we're doing
with a translator, hell yeah, dude.
If entertainment, is this about as much entertainment as it is the sport itself now? And I think you can make an argument we're close to that. Just do that. Yeah, Cleveland had their heart broken on TV with the decision. We all watched.
It was good entertainment.
We all watched.
Him picking up a Cubs hat and just flinging it over the table.
And some of you were all children because you didn't know how to react to it, so you burned a jersey and cursed a man because he didn't want to stay in your cold weather city.
We asked, after watching Dame and the Bucks go to the Cup semis, the Dirt Johnson, said he's unplugged and taking a break from the Blazers for his mentals this year. I've had that stance all year.
I didn't know how to phrase that, so I just used it.
Do Seattle Manor fans need to do the same thing? 80% of you say yes, of course. 20% of you say no, true to the blue.
Hey, shout out the 24%. I know what we say on that matter might sound dumb to a lot of you guys because loyalty, I guess. I've always wondered that, by the way, in sports. Like, did the teams give you a loyalty award? Like, thanks for being a fan for 33 years. We've been terrible. We appreciate you.
They should give a loyalty award. What else we got here? Do you wake up to an atmospheric river and wonder, why do I live here? And right now it's 51-49. Yes, I'm shocked at how close that is. Maybe people are just numb to it. You're just like dead inside and you just know it's going to be like, we all know it's going to be awful. But there's a difference. Like the last couple of weeks have been really nice. We had a really good November.
We had a great November.
Yeah. October was a little shaky. Really good November. And you kind of get lulled back into that.
But
this is nice.
Arguably, this is about the worst it gets for us.
Yeah.
We don't have blizzards. We don't have hurricanes. We don't have tornadoes.
January, February becomes freezing rain sometimes.
We don't have earthquakes the way they do in California.
Okay.
And now we're going to go there.
Had to say that.
Now we got to go there.
There's the quake take.
Here comes the big one. That's the all-time quake take.
Oh, man.
We don't have quakes. Now we're all going to die of a take.
What would your reaction be right now if the big one hit? Would you run out that door or would you get under this big-ass table?
I'd go running.
Where would you run?
To my truck.
But, like, what if the ground split open and now you're in a truck?
And we're all dead anyways. No turning back. I got to get on the move. I'm on the move, man. Can't stay put during an earthquake. Got to move.
Told my therapist sometimes I go to events without my family, and I just think, what if it happens right now? I'm not near my family.
You can't call because all that cell service is gone. Everybody's trying to call. It's over. See you later.
Man.
It's a really uplifting way to end the show.
That's the Swag's fault. He did the quake take. You didn't deliver the quake take. He delivered it at the end. What do you want him to do? He's doing his job.
That'll do it for us, folks. If you missed it, go check the Service Patriots podcast at 1080thefan.com. And remember that these shows, not only can you watch live on YouTube every single morning, youtube.com/1080thefan. We'll tweet out the link here at Dirt and Sprague in a moment. But you can go watch the show all day. It's up all day. You can watch yesterday's show and the day before's show. We have some fun outfit ideas for the next week and a half before we go on vacation for the end of the year. We're going to have some fun with it. So you're going to want to be watching.
I want to make an argument for something that we still haven't done yet that I think you might agree with me on.
Oh, okay.
We'll do that tomorrow.
Look at that. Dirty little tease for tomorrow. Thanks so much, everybody, for being a part of our Wednesday. We love you all. We will talk to you tomorrow at 6 a.m. Calling us next. You're listening to 1080 The Fan.